Back live, Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The Gardner-Denver 200 fired up by Johnsonville. About to finally get underway for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. A race that has been delayed by weather. Let's see, we've had football, we've had soccer, we've had baseball in the infield. Now we got the marching band, too. Why not? That trombone's about as big as he is. Well, DJ, put me behind the wheel here. You're the driver. You're getting ready to start this thing. What's going through your mind here? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, you're thinking about trying to survive this first corner that's always treacherous anyway, and here you're not sure exactly how dry it's going to be. And the rest of the corners, I mean, with this place being 14 turns that you have to make, and a couple of these are really high speeds, you're going to be a little anxious right now. This isn't really a fun time, especially those guys starting right up front. They're going to be the first ones getting there.
Part of what you see on your windshield there is adding to or easing your level of anxiousness?
Yes, adding to mostly, as you can see.
One little piece of advice I'd give him as a crew chief is let's see if we can't underestimate the amount of grip. We won't overestimate it here on this first lap.
Yeah. Looking for Spanish language commentary on today's race? It's available by activating your SAP button presented by ESPN Deportes. Well, they're coming to the start. There is more rain out there on the horizon. But again, this whole delay that's gone on, what, about an hour or so? Scheduled green flag time is about 57 minutes ago. It's been about the tracks not being wet enough and not being dry enough.
And we can see how quickly these little showers pop up. And that's something else as these drivers get to racing. They might be on one end of the track and everything's fine. And as they get down to the other end of the track, it could be completely wet before they know what's happening.
50 laps, 200 miles around the 4-mile Road America course here in Elkhart Lake. Pace car is off. Here they come up the hill to the start. Watch out for turn one.
Not have any qualms about driving it off down in that first corner.
Wozniacki through to the lead. Sam Hornish through to second. The pole sitter Tagliani back to third. Now the long straightaway and the downhill run to heavy braking, turn 5. Tagliani had trouble there.
Well, he's really searching for grip. You can see he's really on edge right now.
And for the lead, Sam Hornish by Dylan Kwasniewski.
Ty Dillon making a move underneath Tagliani. Yep, makes a little contact.
Boy. Dylan, Brian Scott, teammates side by side around the carousel. Give Ty Dillon the spot. Now the big fast run down through Kettle Bottoms. Again, the heavy braking Canada corner.
And that right there is going to be a tricky section of the racetrack if it does get wet because there's just no runoff. It's shelf grass and walk on both sides. That can really grab a car, tear it all to pieces.
Wanting that second spot.
Yeah, Brendan's been pretty aggressive from the green flag.
Through lap 1. Sam Hornish leads. Here's for second place. Brendan Gaughan peeks out to the inside of Dylan Kwasniewski.
That's a nice move by Quadneski to get back, try to take that spot back before they get to turn
2. The racetrack seems to have a little more grip than I anticipated. I haven't seen the car slipping too much.
Here's Regan Smith. Look into the inside in turn 5. Smith through to pick up 3rd place.
See Tagliani coming now. He's feeling a little more comfortable with this car.
It's got to be the worst kind of thing, right? You know you got a great car. You're driving for a great team that won all the road course races a year ago in this series, and the track is a little damp, and you don't want to throw it all away in turn 1.
I think he made actually a good decision because, like I said, it's better to underestimate, or underdrive the car rather than overdrive it. You do that once and you're done, and so you still got to start in one piece, and he's able to start driving back through them.
This is one of the 3 areas where they do get the high gear, the heavy braking and downshifting, all the way back to 2nd gear there.
So let's talk strategy here, Andy. It probably won't be long before we begin to see some people filter onto pit road to make green flag stops on a fuel strategy.
Yeah, I think we ran about 6 laps under the caution, basically, that didn't count. So that's and basically they can do about twice the fuel mileage under caution to do under green. So it takes about a gallon a lap under green. Use about a half a gallon per lap under caution. They use 3 gallons out. So they're going to use that and then try to figure it out. It's not going to add a pit stop, but it's going to change a little bit of this first window. You might see some early pit stops here.
6 car there, blue one, orange and white one, Trevor Bayne. Remember, he had to start at the back of the field after having to change those tires from when he flat spotted them during qualifying. Well, that's just a pass for 14th place he just made. So Bayne moving up quickly.
That's making up a lot of spots in a short period of time for Trevor Bayne. So Brian Reed trying to follow him through, teammate.
Whoa, turn 5. Whoa, that was close.
Got a little give and take right there.
Remember Tagliani telling us that every corner of every lap, he had to think about his car, not trying to do more than the car will allow. Used to racing here in lighter open wheel champ cars and so on, whose braking capacity, and just because of the weight of the car, if nothing else, is much later in these turns than you're going to get to do with a NASCAR stock car.
Yeah, and you're just trying to make most of the things have wider tires than what he's accustomed to, the others do. And so all of those things factor into just how much grip and how fast you can make these cars corner. And you do have to be aware of it every single time you go into one of these 14 turns.
So, Cornish, Gaughan, Smith, and Dylan Kwasniewski, who runs 4th, Dave.
He hasn't reported the car condition to his team, but he was told before the race started by Scott Cipodelli, his crew chief, your car will be loose to start this race, but it'll come to you on the long run. Perhaps that's what Dylan is dealing with now after that initial jump at the start and now falling back to 4th.
This 42 team has been really solid this season. Kyle Larson does the majority of the driving for the team. Dylan Kwasniewski jumping in now on the races that are at separate sites. Scott Cipodelli told me yesterday that he challenged his team for Turner Scott Motorsports in the offseason that every area of the operation needed to be 10% better. The car, the chassis needed to be 10% lighter. The engine needed to be beefed up by 10%. The braking capacity, the pit crew, every area of the operation, he challenged them. And he said, and they've all responded, and they've all accomplished, and that's why we're running the way we are.
Now they have tangible results to show for it, too. They have 2 wins with this car. And like I said, all the Turner Scott cars seem to be better this year.
Challenged here. Alex Tagliani sailing it inside in turn 5.
He's starting to get a little more confidence in his car.
Yeah, and that's where these really good road racers are so good, is sizing up and seizing the opportunities that they have at these high braking points to make those passes and make it look rather easy.
So there it is, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. We did just see a couple of green flag pit stops. Dakota Armstrong and Tanner Berryhill have been on the pit lane. Armstrong left, Berryhill still on the pit lane, a long stop for the 17 team. After nearly an hour's delay, we're finally underway here at Road America. And Sam Hornish Jr. is the race leader. We're back after this message and a word from your ABC station. Back live, Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The Gardner Denver 200 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, led by Sam Hornish Jr. Coming at you in the black 54. Regan Smith second, Alex Tagliani third, Dylan Kwasniewski fourth, Ty Dillon fifth, and now Brendan Gaughan, who was second when we went to the commercial, running back in 6th place.
It was an important thing is to stay on the track. You can see as he sets up the entry to this corner, just gets off. Everything off the pavement is extremely wet from rain to that. Makes a nice save here. Only loses a few spots.
Yeah, he's trying to get an angle to this next corner, and he just cheats it a little too much.
So again, second back to 6th for Brendan Gaughan. Now also in the mistake department, Chris Buescher in the 60 made a green flag pit stop a moment ago, and he's going to be coming back down the pit lane again.
Oh, that's going to be costly for this 60 team.
Speeding on pit
Faster
road.
penalty, first gear, 4,800. Chris, were you in first gear when you exited pit row?
We talked about it taking just over a minute to make it down through there.
He was in 14th position when he pitted under the green flag, and now he's going to be way behind, Dave.
He flat spotted tires out there, Alan. The front was shaking really, really badly on the 60 car. That's why they wanted to pit. They were originally on the 2-stop strategy like most every other team, but now they're going to have to change that up a little bit. Some cording on one of the tires there in the front, and again, it was a bad shake. In addition, that was really the reason why they had to make that pit stop.
Yeah, that's one of the really the big things you have to worry about on a road course. You can see when you have that tire unloaded, the inside front tires unloaded, you're heavy braking. It can lock up on you, and that happens so easily. And then it just causes that shake, and then you have to make that pit stop. But that penalty is going to really hurt you.
What a season it's been for Sam Hornish in that 54 so far. Out in front here and coming off a great drive as Trevor Bayne picks up another spot. Past Jeremy Clements to pick up 12th position for Trevor. Remember, he started at the back for unapproved adjustments. They flat-spotted tires. We were talking about unqualified. That is an unapproved adjustment if you change the tires before the start of the race.
And he's got a little bit of an advantage by changing those tires and starting the race. He's got 5 to 7 laps fresher tires, and they lose a lot of speed with laps. So that's why he's able to make a lot of these passes early.
He's getting himself in a nice position, too. We will eventually at some point have a caution here.
Yeah.
Things going to happen. And so now he's getting ready to find himself possibly moving inside the top 10.
Wait, ask the 3 if I can rub the back of him. You want to just run right behind him? No, I need to hit him and rub my grill.
That's what happens when you get grass up on the front of it.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult. You know, a piece of paper can come off pretty easily by running up behind somebody. I think that grass...
And make sure we do the grill, though. 4 tires, grill, and fuel.
I think they're going to have to pit to get that off of there. You can see it. The tape is kind of in the center, and the openings are on the top and bottom of that, and you can see grass really clogging that.
It really embeds itself, unlike some other debris that might just hang there and you could get it off. But he wasn't going to be able to run up there and rub it off on the bumper of that car. Maybe not even under caution. That's not going to happen. We have to come do that manually.
So you heard the voice of Shane Wilson, the crew chief there, and we expect to see Brendan Gaughan head down the pit lane momentarily. The 62 team is up on the wall, although they've got another minute or so before their driver gets back around to this side of the racetrack.
So we talked about not making mistakes, staying on track. There's just so many things as a driver, to not overcharging the corner, to flat spot your tires, which gets you on pit road. Then you make another mistake, so they just add up. And one of those things is staying on the track. You get off on that grass, that wet grass, it gets into the grill, and you've got to pit earlier than what you really wanted to. See Trevor Bain passing Elliott Sadler there to take the 11th spot away.
Yeah, and it's all about detail. I mean, we're talking about when he got off the racetrack, it was only by a few inches. And that caused him to go off further. That caused him to get the grass on the grill. And here he is having to make an unscheduled pit stop.
And Elliott had a bobble there coming off of turn number 12. Jeremy Clements jumped to his inside when Elliott had to check up there. Mike Bliss took advantage also, so 3 spots on that lap for Elliott Sadler. A tough trip around Road America. Here's Brendan Gaughan on the pit lane, Doc.
Had to go around Tommy Joe Martins, whose car had stalled right in front of Gaughan's pit stall. Now, you heard mention all the debris. See the debris in the front of the grill. They're going to try to get the tires changed. Then they will come around and clean debris off the grill. They're going to peel some tape off as well. He said running hot. There's the cleaning of the grill. It's just matted in there. DJ said it's all the way stuck inside the wire mesh. Rubbing, 4 tires, fuel, and he's away.
So as Brendan Gaughan rejoins the race, right side of the screen, Sam Hornish continues to lead. There's the gap from Sam back to Regan Smith.
Brian Scott's gotten around his teammate Ty Dillon there. Move himself up in that 5th spot.
Hang on. Keep it in the fairway, Brian.
Yes. A little joke. Played golf on Thursday with Brian up here in Wisconsin, and he can hit it a long way.
And full disclosure, he kept it in the fairway most times. I, on the other hand, did not. Brian running solidly in 6th position.
Yeah, talked about really enjoying this, and he said as far as the road courses went, this was his favorite. He liked the challenge of it, the length of it, you see, to really fit the style that he likes. So he was looking to have a good, solid day. Certainly inside the top 5 would be what he was expecting.
Sam Hornish Jr. finished 5th at Talladega, won the race at Iowa with this team, finished 2nd at Michigan last week in another Joe Gibbs racing car, and he's out in front here at Road America. He's led all the laps to this point. Friday night from Kentucky Speedway. The struggles continue a little bit for Elliott Sadler as Ryan Reed goes past Elliott, kicking him back to 13th place.
Yeah, this is one thing that's compounded on Elliott. He struggled in qualifying, and he had to run extra laps. I think he may have had 3 to 5 laps more than most people did on their tires, and I think he's really paid the price in this first run.
Well, and part of the reason they had to put more on there is because they were struggling. They didn't have the handling of the car exactly right. They had to continue to do that, and looks like they still don't have it exactly to Elliott's liking.
Oh, trouble. Dylan Kwasniewski off catching a little grass.
So he minimized any damage, but think about that grass on the grill. Like he has a lot of it. You better be watching that.
Whoa, same spot, turn 6.
Wow, he missed that corner completely.
So he was running 4th. Now he is only back to 5th, so he got off course and just lost the 1 spot there. Glove save and a beauty for Kwasniewski.
Grass on the grill. We got to get the grill clean.
Scott Cipodelli.
Okay, just keep an eye on your water tip. I want to go 3 more laps if I can.
But that's the thing, to make that window, he needs to run a few extra laps. This is going to be tricky because that grill has a lot of grass on it.
Last year, A.J. Allmendinger won this race driving the Penske 22. He made his pit stops at lap 14 under green, and then in lap 32 under yellow. The race did run extra distance, and they had to factor that in, but that's around the window when we'll see a lot of these front runners begin to hit the pit lane.
Yeah, I mean, he might be able to gamble just a little bit, maybe get a lap, lap early or so and gamble on some cautions. But the main thing he needs to do right now is be watching that water temp.
And the other part about this racetrack, once you go past that pit road opening, you've committed yourself to another 4 miles with that on the grill. It's not like Martinsville or a half-mile track or something where 15, 20 seconds you're back around. You're going to be another 2.5 minutes before you get another chance to make that decision to pit. And a lot can happen to an overheating engine in 2.5 minutes.
Oh, no doubt. And it's, like I say, now he's got to take his focus away from just driving the car. So now you can't make another mistake on top of the one that you already did to compound things.
James Busher's in, Doc.
And it'll be a 4-tire change for Busher. They could not take a chance. Exactly what you're talking about, Alan. Take a chance on being so close on fuel, letting him go by, run 4 more miles, and running out of gas in the back of the course here. Sam Hornish, right side of your screen, the leader. Busher making his first of what they expect to be 2 pit stops. They're very deliberate to get it full of fuel. Over 18 seconds, though, on pit road.
It's funny, the mailbag question, Andy, that you asked Hornish's crew chief Adam Stevens about how many green-white checkers you expect and how many laps of overtime. You see this field's gotten spread out a little bit. It's one of the things the crew chiefs are trying to figure out how to factor in to their planning for this race. There aren't all the Sprint Cup guys here. There aren't as many of the road course wingers here. And so how is the race going to play out? Is it going to be as frantic and with as many crashes and extended laps as we've seen a couple of times here before?
And it's going to happen if we get a late caution. That's what's going to stack everybody back up, and then that's when it can start. The chain can start. And start having a lot of cautions, and then the potential for the green-white checker.
All it takes is one to start that whole chain, because one is going to start creating more things now. They know they have a dry racetrack and everything at this point.
Well, from that shot, you can see Regan Smith has definitely closed the gap on Sam Hornish. I was looking at the monitor last time by, and he'd made up about a third of a second. See what it is this time. Yeah, he made up another half a second.
And what you never know is when the guy in front of you's been told to save fuel,
Exactly, yep.
what he's being told by his crew chief about their fuel strategy and what they're trying to accomplish. So as we get to 12 laps here, you'll see that that was the longest green flag stretch of last year's race. We had one 12-lap run, one 10-lap run. Everything else was 5 laps or less under the green flag.
And one thing it might help you for strategy, this is kind of a simple place because it takes about a gallon per lap under green. And so you look, they've run 12 laps, that's 12 gallons. Those 6 laps that they ran under the pace laps that didn't count, okay, those you can get about twice the mileage. So you figure about 3 gallons there. So they've used about 15 of the total 19 gallons that they can pull out of these cells. And that's just a rough figure. Some cars get a little better, some get maybe a little bit more. Your mileage may vary. I knew you were going to.
But as Alan said, you have to err on that side of caution a little bit because it is 4 miles around here.
This 54 ran out of gas last year in the middle of the race with a different driver aboard. But, oh, that's trouble.
There's going to be your caution.
That is Stanton Barrett. And that's a pretty good-looking hit into the wall.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to get out of that, I don't think. There's Kenny Hobble, too.
Yep. Caution is out. Full course yellow.
Caution is out. Full course caution. Full course caution. My fault. I was watching a car spinning in death.
So Stanton Barrett, in his return to the NASCAR Nationwide Series, finds himself in trouble here at Road America. Watch the top of the screen.
Wow, he was way off the racetrack there. See, getting that grass, though, it's really slick because of that little drizzle we had.
And then Kenny Hobble finds himself in a little confrontation. Getting some contact at turn number 5 from Carlos Contreras.
It's like he went into that corner like he had no idea that car was even there.
All clear. Just crank it up, come back around. Come around.
You're clear now.
Yeah, I was going to say I could have used a little help before that. But as you can see, he went into that corner with this wide arc into the corner and trying to hit the apex, and he had no idea.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, I think we heard some radio traffic earlier that said, you know, that maybe one of the spotters was watching that car spin, which right here that we're seeing Stanton Barrett, and didn't actually see that there was a car inside. It could have
We
been
are done
in
for
a home
good,
spot.
10-4.
So you can't go anywhere. You're stopped there.
Well, if you're trying to reach Stanton, you're not going to be able to because his helmet's off and he's climbing out of the car. Oh, or maybe it's Dylan Kwasniewski that radio traffic was from. Dave, what's up?
Do you have any gears at all? That was just before we listened to Scott Cipodelli on the radio. So he's going to get a pushback. He can't find a gear, and they think they're going to have to change the transmission. Tough luck for the 42. And Dylan was so looking forward to being here because road courses have been his thing ever since he was go-karting as a kid. The ovals have not been kind to him lately, and he was really looking for a big bounce back here today.
Yeah, Dave, he'd had such a good run going. He was running 5th, got the early lead right off the start for just a portion of the first lap, and now all the gears, the reason you can't find them, they're probably laying down in the transmission somewhere.
You know, we talked in the Napa know-how is, you know, part of it was taking care of the gearbox. Got to have that throughout the entire 50 laps here. And that car was high up in the owner's points. They started the day in that 3rd spot.
So caution comes out for one thing, and 2 other things happen right at the very same time. The big one, Stanton Barrett, stuck in the gravel trap after contact with the wall. Want to be from a car that was in the top 5 to being pushed back to the garage area through the infield. But that is where Dylan Kwasniewski finds himself as we work the first caution of today's Gardner-Denver 200 here at Road America. Field bottled up behind the pace car. They'll come to the opening of the pit lane here. We expect to see all of the front runners in. What we've been debating is if any of the guys who made the green flag stops recently will stay out, try and gobble up some track position, and if they do so, will they then be in position to make the finish on just one more stop? And the answer is...
I don't think so. I think you see Brendan Gaughan had to make that unscheduled stop at lap 7. He's still going to have to make 2 more stops. So I think you'll see him probably come with these leaders. There's only, I think maybe James Busher, he did it on lap 10. He might be one that can stay. Well, you see Brendan Gaughan stayed out right there.
Yep. Now, here's that long, long run down the pit lane. Don't get a speeding penalty here. Here they come, Doc.
Points leader Regan Smith running second in the race, and the car's a little bit tight on the right-handers. And Ryan Pemberton will take 1 round out of the right rear. They'll put on 4 Goodyear Eagles and top it off with Sunoco fuel. Dave Burns.
Sam Hornish, the leader of all laps this race, says the car is tight in the center and losing the rear at the 3/4 mark of the exit. They'll make a chassis and air pressure adjustment for it, get it full of Sunoco fuel. Jamie?
Alex Tagliani started on pole, then he slipped back to 5th position, has since gained 2 spots, saying the car's a little bit loose. 4 tires stop here, air pressure, Phillips. Number 1 pit box, you see, got out, and he loses, looks like a spot or 2, Alan.
And the big one to lose is Sam Hornish Jr.
Brian Scott's team gained him 3 spots, though. Good job for them.
Trevor Bain, after starting in the back, and his crew did a nice job. He'd driven his way inside the top 10 and comes out 6th there of those cars in pit.
So Brian Scott will come out first off the pit lane. He won't be the race leader, though. There were a couple of cars that stayed on the racetrack and will take over the top 4 or 5 spots. So under caution here at Road America, first opportunity of the day for Ethan Marquardt, a Wisconsin native, to go to work on Brian Scott's car. He's carrying those rear tires. Nice job, Ethan. Back to Road America after this from your ABC station. 100 fired up by Johnsonville, the NASCAR Nationwide Series race under its first caution with about a quarter of the distance gone in this one. Join us in NASCAR and honoring our armed forces by tweeting or posting your personal salute using the hashtag NASCAR Salutes, or visit NASCAR.com for more information. Dylan Kwasniewski sitting in his car, crew chief Scott Cipodelli in the window. after what has been a brief, adventurous Road America race so far for the young man.
Yeah, he started off the race really good, got off course there. A lot of grass on the grill. That was the least of the problems.
Yeah, we thought maybe it was a transmission, but I saw that they were working on the rear end. Looks like they may have another problem today.
You're actually correct, Andy. Rear gear is the issue there. So not exactly sure how it happened. These road courses are so brutal on everything on these race cars. You see him taking the drive shaft out, so they'll work on the entire driveline, but I was told rear gear is the issue for the 42.
Yeah, I mean, the whole drivetrain takes a beating here.
Yeah. And that can come from, the driver can do a couple of different things there. Wheel hopping will create that situation for you and break that gear. So that's getting into the corner a little bit too hard, not matching your shift well with the RPMs there and create that situation. Also getting off on some of the exits to where they have these strips that are a little rougher, and you get those rear wheels to bouncing and spinning off of there, you can tear the rear gear out of it.
And they don't look bad from the camera, but they are really, really rough, those sections that you're talking about.
So Dylan Kwasniewski sitting on jack stands behind the wall, not where he wanted to be after running in the top 5 throughout the distance so far here at Road America. Brendan Gaughan is going to be the new leader of this race after not pitting under the caution flag. We will reset the running order for you and get ready for the restart when we come back to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Back live at Road America, you see the field doubled up, coming to the restart with Brendan Gaughan in the 62. Now the race leader, Brendan, got off in turn 6 while running in second at lap 5. Had to eventually make a green flag pit stop to clear the grass from the grill and keep the engine from overheating. That pit stop came at lap 7, so now he's out of sequence a little bit with the other guys who just stopped on the pit lane here at lap number 13. Those would include Sam Hornish, the guy who was the race leader before, and Brian Scott, who was first off the pit lane and now lines up in 7th spot. How's this going to work out for Brendan and the 62 team?
So we're going to put, being we're in the lead, we'll put rain tires on and just go, or we can try to do that deal. It's really up to you.
Hell no. We'll do that only if that does not work.
Okay, 10-4, that's what I kind of planned on.
Only question is, can we make it to our next window at the right time is the problem.
Oh no, I mean, right now, if it doesn't rain, we can't make it on to, another stop like they can. But if we come in for rain tires, everyone's going to come in, and then we'll be on the same fuel as them.
Yeah, it looks like they're gambling on weather because that's the only thing that's going to make that strategy work for them.
It's a gamble that might pay off.
Good.
Or it might not.
This could get interesting up front. I know that as they get to turn 1.
The straightaway widens out and then narrows back down when they get to turn 1. So watch for these. These cars try to get 3 wide.
Brendan Gaughan, black and gold car. It's Andy Lally to the outside in the black number 55. Dakota Armstrong through in the white and black 43. Watch Sam Hornish, 54.
Threads the needle. Sam did a great job making up some early spots.
Yeah, you won't see much distance right now, but as he gets out there and these other cars, Brian Scott and Tagliani, have some problems getting through, you'll see that be a big advantage for Sam.
Paint swap in there.
I have to say it's one of the most calm restarts I've ever seen up here watching over the years.
It's still early. So Brendan Gaughan leads. Now Sam Hornish is second. Chris Buescher is third. Dakota Armstrong is fourth. Sam restarted in 8th position, second off the pit lane. Got through Brian Scott and then a little run between turns 2 and 3. And now he's trying to chase down Brendan Gaughan for the race lead. Here's Regan Smith to the inside of Andy Lally. Brian Scott.
He got away with it. I'm not sure if he got any grass on that grill.
Shake those tires off and clear by 10.
Sam Hornish off there. Brian Scott off there. Same spot, turn 13.
Yeah, it looks like Brian Scott picked up a little more of that debris on his grill. I think Sam might be okay. I don't think he picked up nearly as much.
He didn't get nearly as much, but you wonder just, it doesn't take a whole lot with as much tape as they run in these. You're right, I believe Brian Scott probably got the worst end of that.
Yeah, that's not good. Pretty good.
Being challenged there by Alex Tagliani, so we'll see if that becomes a problem for the 2-car that forces him unnecessarily to pit road, and that could really put a wrinkle in his day. Not going here.
Justin Marks in the 31. Doing a pretty good job so far this weekend. Squeezed a little bit right there with Chase Elliott.
And there's a great view of those rumble strips, DJ, you were talking about that can shape the drive line on these race cars. So
Yeah, the painted ones aren't so bad. Elliott Sadler was pointing this out to me yesterday as we went around the track. It's the ones that are the darker, the pavement, that are much more abrasive. I think Sam Hornish is taking the lead here once again. They can really upset the car. You lose traction, and you can tear up anything from gearbox to all the way back to the rear end.
that change for the lead happened like this. It involved the glass again in that 62 car.
He's already had to make one unscheduled stop because of that.
Actually, that curb, driver's right, kind of threw the car's handling off, and he chased it all the way across the track.
Yeah, the drivers are accustomed to using that a lot, but you have to, I mean, it is still, the air is very damp here, and anything that's painted like that is not going to have the grip that you expect it to in a dry weather situation, and I think that some of these drivers are pushing that limit to a little bit too far in these type conditions, obviously.
Kwasniewski in the 42 is back out on the track. He's running right behind the leader, but he's not on the lead lap. So he's about 4 laps down.
Here are some cars who just came off the pit lane, like Ty Dillon in the 3, Justin Marks in the 31, working their way through guys on an alternate pit strategy, like Dakota Armstrong in the 43 and Andy Lally in the 55, who are out on older tires.
Now, Lally's kind of bottled this group up, got them all kind of choked down. They're trying to work their way by.
Thing is, he's such a good road racer that he can stay out there like that and make this a difficult situation for these drivers, even though they have better tires right now. Talked about that patience early on. This isn't those type of situations where you really need that, where you're in this type of situation, especially these guys that are battling Chase Elliott, Elliott Sadler, Ty Dillon in the middle of that, where they're battling for a championship.
Justin Marks gets to the inside, opens the door for James Busher. Busher not able to take advantage.
A lot of stories in this group. Where to begin? Chase Elliott with problems yesterday, missing a shift. Team having to change engines. Didn't get any practice here on Friday. Got some laps, limited number this morning in the qualifying session.
Now that happened the first lap of practice. He didn't get a lap at all. He had to change the engine and all the drivetrain.
Just ahead of him, James Busher, whose wife gave birth to a baby on Thursday.
Chase Elliott here without his normal crew chief, Greg Ives, who home with his wife having a baby yesterday.
Andy Lally, 55, who only got the call to drive this car Sunday night. As he was flying home from visiting his dad for Father's Day, got up at the crack of dawn on Monday, drove up to Charlotte to get fitted for the seat. Andy, the former Sprint Cup Series Rookie of the Year, looking for any opportunity to get back in his stock car that he can. Brendan Gaughan on the pit lane after that second off-course excursion, Doc.
Lots of grass in the grill. Obviously, that's the reason they wanted to come on pit road, but also they're in their window now to make it on one more stop. Hitting here on lap 19. They can actually run 18 laps with the fuel tank. Lots of grass and debris in the grill. Couldn't afford to cook the engine. Decided to come in and get it nice and clean. Take their time. Get it full, and he's away.
That's going to drop him from second to 26th for Brendan Gaughan.
Yeah, you see Tagliani just made the pass on Chris Buescher. Really kind of surprised that he hasn't been a little quicker on this run.
Chris Buescher's been out there a while. You know, he had to make that early stop because he had flat spotted the tires, had some cords showing, then he got a pit road speeding penalty, but has done a nice job out there on some tires that are older, trying to play some type of strategy and possibly a range strategy that might keep them up there in the situation. But Chris Buescher in that 60 doing a good job. Chase Elliott being very aggressive. Watched him pretty much move one of the cars out of the way a minute ago. He got tired of showing any patience at that time, and sometimes you just have to do that to get yourself some open track and take a chance that you can work your way through there.
Right-hander, the carousel. Now the fast kink and the run on down through the Canada corner. Tommy Joe Martins being called to pit road by NASCAR officials. Possible, well, there it is. Don't need the possible. Reports of smoke from that car confirmed.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the engine, transmission, or what he's dealing with.
Third place here. Regan Smith, 7. Brian Scott, 2. Trying to get around Chris Buescher. DJ mentioned the alternate pit stop schedule the 60 ended up on after flat spotting the tires and then having a speeding penalty on the pit lane earlier. He stayed out on this last caution.
Maintain that second spot for a while, and then Tagliani got by. Now Tagliani's starting to make a little ground up on Sam Hornish.
There he is.
See, I think he's been real methodical. Even the start of the race, he wasn't very aggressive on the initial start, taking care of his car. And I think that's, you know, a conscious effort of him trying to make sure he gets to the finish because he knows he has a good car.
Think about it. Here's a guy with, you know, a world of road racing experience and experience at this track, but hasn't driven a nationwide series car much. Last race was in Montreal 2012, so that's 2 years ago. He just came from driving the Indianapolis 500, totally different type of car in racing. Then Thursday, he was testing his regular ride for this year, a sports car on the road course at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
We're doing it on the left-handers, bud.
For the upcoming Brickyard weekend. Now here he is here at Road America in a nationwide car. Ty Dillon showing some smoke.
Clear. Yeah, it's only doing it on the left-handers. It's clear on the right-handers.
That tells me he might have a hole in the oil pan. Maybe he has run over one of the curbs.
What are they saying, Jamie?
Well, that's exactly it. That's all the information they have. The 31 team actually told them it looked like they were leaking something, so perhaps that's some oil. They told Ty just to keep a heads up, and they're keeping their eye on it. The team is ready to go over the wall if they have to bring him down to pit road, but it's been a solid day up until now. He's run top 10. This is his first ever nationwide road course race, so he keeps digging, but we'll keep an eye on him.
Definitely showing smoke, even in the right-hander, so. Does seem to be maybe just a little worse than the left-handers.
Back to one of our pre-race storylines. This race possibly causing a big swing in championship hopes and championship standings. Ty Dillon showing 4th in the championship, starting in the race right now. But
Starting to do it on the straightaways now, Andy.
If they have a significant mechanical problem that takes them out of the race, they're going to lose a bunch of ground.
And that was one of the championship contenders that was hoping to make up some ground here because he is fourth, a few points back.
Trevor Bayne. Terrific drive aboard the 6 car for the Tennessee young man. Came from the back of the field after having to replace some tires flat spotted in qualifying, and has worked his way all the way up now into the top 5.
Yeah, I think that has to be the most impressive thing that I've seen today is this job that Trevor Bayne's done. He passed a lot of cars early on, but it didn't really look like he was doing it by taking a lot of chances, and then they got the opportunity to catch up to everyone else, they're right there on that strategy, and he's doing a terrific job here driving into the top 5.
So Trevor Bayne running in 5th position now. Mike Bliss in the 19 car has just had some noteworthy moments in turn 1.
A little bit loose getting into that corner.
That's where the grip level didn't match the speed that he had there.
Didn't match the commitment. Landon Castle, 0-1. J.J. Ailey, 28, just through the frame there. The 2 drivers doing double duty this weekend. Now we focus on Bliss, who's back here trying to hold off Jeremy Clements in the 51 for a spot. That'll be for 17th place. Still not quite to halfway today here at Road America. A race delayed an hour by damp track conditions. And all of the laps except for 3 that have been run so far have been led by Sam Hornish Jr. Having a dominant performance right now in the Joe Gibbs Racing 54. Up the hill, across the finish line, and another lap led for Sam Hornish Jr. in the Gardner-Denver 200, fired up by Johnsonville. The car right behind him is not on the lead lap. That's Dylan Kwasniewski, who's 5 laps down, spent some time behind the wall having the drive line of that 42 repaired. It's 3.4 seconds from Hornish back to 2nd place, Alex Tagliani at the moment. We go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance. Dave Burns is covering the leader for us today.
Sam Hornish very happy with this race car. They made an adjustment on that first stop. He has not said anything about it since, just mowing down the competition. He retook the lead on lap 17 and has been distancing them ever since. It's the same car that Owen Kelly drove last year to a 4th place finish. It's a good piece, and Sam's giving it a good run. Jamie?
This is the first Nationwide Series race for Alex Tagliani since 2012. He started on the pole, then slipped back to 5th because the handling went away. Well, after the last stop, they noticed there was a slow leak in one of the tires, and they thought that contributed to the ill handling car. They fixed that, and he's been on it. Hasn't said a word since, Doc.
And road courses have been the bane of Regan Smith's existence here. He has won 7 times in his previous history. He's had 1 finish better than 15th, and not here. A year ago, he finished 32nd. He said this weekend all about redemption. He qualified 3rd, and right now, based on their fuel strategy, they can make it on 1 more stop. But that's it. They could not go green-white-checkered. Now, behind him is the 2 car, Brian Scott. A year ago, Richard Childress Racing said they were embarrassed with their performance here. They had geared the engine configuration for fuel mileage. Not this year. Engine builder Danny Lawrence said, all 3 of our RCR cars, we have poured the horsepower to them. We don't care about fuel mileage. We believe these long straightaways in a green-white-checkered, we need the ponies. But they may not have enough fuel mileage right now to make it on 1 more stop. Here's Dave Burns.
Since the race resumed, 12th to 5th for Trevor Bayne. It's been a really good run for him. He says the car is a lot looser on this run, but I'm sliding the tires more evenly. So it sounds like a good 4-wheel drift for Trevor. He needed to save some fuel, though. They were about 2 laps short of making it on 1 more stop, so he's been trying to do that as well. His teammate Chris Buescher, we mentioned, got off strategy earlier. They had to pit earlier. They're probably going to come in and pit this time. So Chris Busch is going to have to give up this great position after having gotten it on some off strategy. We'll see what they can recover and do. Jamie?
Justin Marks doing a very nice job in the 31 car, usually driven by Dylan Kwasniewski. Now, he hadn't driven or raced a car in a year, so they went and tested a couple of weeks ago at VIR, and it didn't take him long to get back up to speed. He qualified in the top 10. He's been running top 10 today. This is the first of 2 races planned for him. Dave?
Jamie, Chris Buescher is on pit road now. He knows how to play the patience game here. Last year when he won the ARCA race at this facility, 2 drivers wrecked in front of him on the final lap, and he was able to drive to victory lane. But this is going to be tough. This puts them in a fuel window, but it's not their last stop. So they're going to have to come down one more time, give up all this track position, and just hope maybe a caution can work in their favor. Alan?
Now, the other thing I'm looking at, Dave, as we watch Chris Buescher's crew finish up the work, is the radar. While you're watching Sam Hornish lead and the action on the pit road, the blob of green that's on the radar, if it contains rain that's reaching the ground, it's just about here. And that could throw another whole different twist into this thing if it hits. I'm just saying.
Yep.
Yeah. These drivers that have had to make these green flag pit stops are hoping that it at least holds off until it could cycle through, and everyone else would have to make a green flag pit stop.
Yeah.
And then if it rained then and everyone had to come in and put on the rain tires, then they would be on equal ground.
I want to say this. Dylan Kwasniewski has been impressive. He is matching Sam Hornish lap time for lap time for lap time since coming back out of the garage. And I understand you're 5 laps down and you really have not a lot to race for at this point other than to keep going and see how many points you can get. But he's showing me something.
I'll tell you something else. You know, if he gets this lap back, he's 4 laps down. We've seen how these races can go. We can have a caution after caution. There's not that many cars that are laps down. He could put himself theoretically in a position to get a lot of laps back.
Chase Elliott, Ty Dillon.
Well, look at this battle. I think back to last year's truck race. They came to the checker flag. Ty Dillon was leading, and he and Chase got together. Chase won. I think Dillon finished back quite a ways.
For second place, Regan Smith on Alex Tagliani. Smith moving up. And you see the windshield wiper going on that 22 car now. We saw it down at the backside of the course around turn 12 when we were watching Chase Elliott and Ty Dillon. Some raindrops start to hit that camera lens. NASCAR Race Control radioing to its officials that it has stationed around the track in different corners and getting reports here and there on if there's enough moisture falling that they might need to put the caution out.
Dale, is it when you're out there, is it hard to read? Can you tell if it's wet?
Doesn't take long to tell that, yeah. But you know, you go as much off. You can get a lot just by that windshield. The amount of moisture that comes on your windshield. Caution is out now. You can't let it get too far.
So there you go. As coming to the halfway point of the race, the yellow flag out for the second time.
Sam Hornish had built him a nice lead. He really hated to see that. Everyone hates to see it because for the rain, but Sam Hornish had built up a nice lead for himself. But nice drive by Regan Smith. He had to drive all the way to second.
Yeah, he's done a great job today.
The redemption ride.
Yeah.
But still a half a race to go.
Yeah.
He had a great drive last year all race long until we got to those overtimes when he got roughed up and knocked around and eventually dumped and wound up finishing 32nd. Now look at that windshield top right.
Yeah, you can see a lot of rain.
Yeah, wow. Here it gets interesting.
This will change things. Now, it's going to change the way the cars handle. It's going to change the fuel mileage calculations.
Yeah, it changes totally the way the drivers approach this. You have so many that have never done this, driven in the rain, especially with these type cars.
Yeah. And still save fuel.
And, you know, they have these windshield wipers on there, but they only work to a certain
Tell
point.
us to put rain tires on probably. We'll see what they say. Just be patient.
Now, I think that's what they'll do because of what we see on the radar. It's definitely some rain coming behind this. I don't think we'll see what we had at the start where they were waiting for the track to dry.
There is the radar. And look at the curve. See the arrows there as you see the motion. At one point, it looked like it might swing to the south of us.
And
now it's
shifted.
turned.
Yep. It looked like we were possibly going to miss it.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Andy and I spend a lot of time looking at weather radars. If you haven't figured that out by now, it's a factor in these races, you know. Now the camera lens getting peppered. Well, the pit road is closed here, so we won't see anybody in this time.
Looks like it's going to get us pretty darn wet.
Whether they decide to put the tires on there or not, I don't know. This is halfway. At least we're halfway. We're in the books right here.
Ryan Pemberton with a point there.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying that it is official if it happened to rain it out, but I don't think that's what we'll see. They have the rain tires, and, you know, this is kind of the situation that they have them for.
But it's the same dilemma. Is it wet enough for the rain tires, but just too wet for the slicks? That the same thing that delayed the start of the race by an hour, until you start to see a significant amount of water falling on those windshields, it's not wet enough for the rain tires.
Yeah, but this is more rain than we've seen. We didn't see this much or this heavy of rocks in the beginning part of the day.
I'm not going to ask you what you think as a driver, because I know you don't want to see those rain tires and you don't want to do it. You're the crew chief. You know what those wet tires will stand and what they won't. What would you do?
Well, I mean, right now they're going to give the teams an opportunity to change and put the rain tires on. And basically, I'm going to look at the radar. What I see, I'm going to put rain tires on.
Well, going to be another couple of minutes before they have to make that decision for sure, because the pit road is closed as the pace car gathers up the field here at Road America. We'll come back and see what happens after this message and a word from your ABC station. For NASCAR Nationwide Series Racing from Wisconsin today, we're under caution for the second time at the race's midway point of the Gardner-Denver 200, fired up by Johnsonville. Race delayed an hour by weather that was too wet to run on dry slick tires, but not wet enough to run on the wet rain tires. And we find ourselves in a similar difficult dilemma here at the midway point of the event. Field running around behind the pace car now while NASCAR officials in the tower debate whether to declare this a wet race and have everybody put on the rain tires, or to keep them running around under the yellow flag, or to park them and red flag it, or what they're going to do. It's a tough spot for them, and it's not an easy decision to make. You're sitting there, just like the rest of us, watching the radar and trying to guess what it means.
Yeah, and they're basically keeping pit road closed right now until they see exactly what's going to happen. Are they going to bring everybody down, and it's going to get to that time that they will put on the rain tires, or will it stop enough that then once they open pit road, you can do whatever you want then, like a normal race and pit stop? Because they're going to keep it closed until they see, is it going to rain hard enough for us to put everyone in that situation with rain tires?
And the other difficult part of it is, just like when we're at Daytona in July, and you might get one of those summer showers that catches turn 2 but never even dampens turn 4, this is a 4-mile racetrack. And it's spread out over a bit of acreage here. And it is raining right now out on the northern part of the racetrack. A lot more than apparently it is down at turn 1, which is the southern end of the racetrack, according to the reports that I'm monitoring coming back from the pace car to race control as they drive around here. So that's a bit of a problem, too. Unfortunately, unlike a baseball stadium, we can't put the tarp down on the field and wait out the rain delay. My awkward way of trying to remind you about ESPN Sunday Night Baseball with this week, the Rangers and the Angels. American League West showdown. Both of them trying to catch the Oakland A's, who have the major's best record. Sunday Night Baseball, Texas and Los Angeles Angels. Presented by Taco Bell at 8 Eastern on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN. That wasn't one of my better turns there, was it?
No, I thought that was there. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I believe the call is being made to go to the wet weather tires here by NASCAR. We'll confirm that in just a second, but I believe that's what's going to happen here when the pit road is opened. Doc?
Yeah, the word is out. Mandatory wet weather tires next time by. Ryan Pemberton, what does that mean for you, Enrique Smith, in the 7 car?
Well, it means we got to be really smart here. Enrique's done a great job. I hate that we can't run it, finish it out in the dry. I think he had the car to beat today. He's done a great job. So I think this is going to be a little exciting for maybe the fans, but us as well. Hopefully it's going to be a good day. We can keep it on the track here, but it's going to be. It looks like a lot more rain coming, and we're going to rain tires. So you might know as much as we do about it right now.
The Goodyear said raise the air pressure both left and right 3 pounds to try to help these tires not flex as much. What else can you do to help him on the racetrack in terms of chassis?
Man, the things that we'd like to do, it'd be hard to do on this pit stop because it's a live pit stop. We can lose positions. They're telling us that right now, and so we got to make a quick, have a good pit stop. I mean, if you could, you'd drop the track bar, in which we will do that. Take some spring rubbers out of the rear, things like that. So we got to be conscious of how much time we spend up here. We don't want to lose that track position.
We'll let you go. You know, you're getting ready for your driver to come in. Ryan Pemberton, his driver, Regan Smith coming in. Track bar adjustment, rubbers coming out. Remember, the 62 car of Brendan Gaum, they got to change a wiper motor, so they're going to be on pit road even longer than everyone else, and you can lose spots during this stop.
Doc, so just to recap, the rules are when there's wet weather in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, they declare it a wet race. Everyone comes down pit road, puts on the wet tires at the same time. After that, you're on your own as to when and if you go back to the dry tires later in the race. And that could really mix things up too.
Yeah, it can. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that think that they should run in the rain all the time with this. You know, as a competitor, the way that I look at this is that if they would get opportunities to practice it and do some things with it, then it might be a little better. But you're determining a championship possibly here of people that may be there and then you have never done this. They have no idea what to expect. And I know it's as fair for one as it is the other, but there are some that have some experience, and they just hate to see something like that determined here whenever they haven't done it.
Well, they're going to get some experience now. I mean, if you got to do it first sometime.
And because it is a live pit stop, when track position's at stake, you saw some of the pit crew members are going to jump down off that wall onto a damp pit road. So it's not just the treads on the tires that are important here.
Yeah, I've only had one injury. I changed tires for quite a few years, and I only had one injury, and it was just after it had rained at Bristol, and they didn't get the track or the pit road drive when they went back racing. And I came across there and got a pretty major sprain on my ankle just from slipping on this, and these guys need to be careful.
There are 10 drivers in this field who've run a Nationwide Series car on rain tires in competition before. It will be interesting to see if that experience factors in. One of them's out of the race already, Stan Barrett, but Alex Tagliani, Mike Bliss, Brendan Gaughan, Derek Cope, Eric McClure, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Justin Marks, and Landon Castle, plus Andy Lally. If I forgot to mention him earlier on the list. Those guys all have experience on rain tires in one of these nationwide cars. Remember the couple races in Montreal where we used the treaded tires?
Yeah, I didn't realize that many drivers in the field had experience in the wet, so it should pay off for them.
Update on Brendan Gaughan. You heard Doc mentioning that they needed to change that wiper motor, Doc.
Well, they were talking about doing it. They got it laying on the wall here, but now they're saying they may not take the time to change the wiper motor. They may just change tires, fill it full of fuel, and use some Rain-X on the windshield. There's the parts and pieces they were ready to put in, including a blower that is a defroster inside the car. They're thinking about why take time and lose track position now? Go ahead and put Rain-X on the windshield and tires, and then go.
Well, here they come to the final corners. This changes, obviously, the look and complexion of the race by everyone having to go to the wet tires. It changes the fuel strategy of the race because now everyone in the field must pit here, and so everybody will be on the same fuel strategy. And let's see how this goes.
Green flag's out at the end of pit road.
A live pit stop. Everyone must stop and put on the wet weather tires. You can gain or lose track position by how much time you spend doing other things, and don't speed on pit road. That can get you busted here also. Hornish, Smith, Tagliani, Scott, and Bain, the front five coming in. And the first one gets called by Doc.
Ryan Pemberton reminding Regan Smith it'll be 50 RPMs less for speeding with these rain tires. 50 RPMs less. Gonna drop the track bar, take rubbers out of the rear, put on the rain tires. Being very deliberate to get it full of fuel. Let's go to Dave.
Sam Hornish will get chassis adjustments as well to make his car rain race ready. They'll put on the 4 tires, fill it full of Sunoco fuel. His car was a little bit tight off on the last run. I'm having a feeling it'll be loose everywhere after this. Jamie?
Alex Tagliani better on the short run. They're going to go down 2 rounds on the track bar, though, to help the adjustment. You see the change there. 4 tires for the rain. We'll see if this will help Alex Tagliani move to the front.
quick explanation of why you adjust the RPMs that you're reading on the tach for the pit road speed limit with these tires.
Yeah, these tires are just a little bit bigger in diameter, and so they're going to, you know, basically be traveling a little farther distance, so the RPM is going to be different. That was really good heads up by Ryan Pemberton telling his driver that.
So with 23 laps to go, this is not the last time we'll see these cars on the pit lane. Whoop, Brian Scott off.
Already, he found a slick spot.
Yep.
You know, and that's something I would anticipate. He's got grass, so he's going to have to come back in. I would anticipate would you test the grip level right now, Dale, just to see what you can make? Because
I'd find out as much as I possibly could right now. It's better now than, you know, but unfortunately for Brian Scott, that's probably going to mean that he's, as you said, going to come back in.
Yeah,
and I think that's what he was doing.
He came off the pit lane as the race leader, but when he went off the track, Trevor Bayne went by him. NASCAR is saying put the 6 in front of the 2 on the racetrack. Plus, if he has to pit again, here's what happened.
I think that's the least of his problems, is giving that spot back to the 6.
I think he was testing it. He went down in there hard enough. He had enough gap behind the pace car that he could get some speed down in there, seeing how much he could brake and what could happen. And you see what can happen. We'll see a lot more of this.
There's 26 cars on the lead lap, so the obvious penalty for him is large to have to make another pit stop.
I will say that a lot of what I see there got on the tape as much as anything it's looking like. So we'll see if they're going to try to stay out there or what their case may be.
So, again, instructions being passed from race control to put the 6 in front of the 2 on the racetrack. And then the Richard Childress group with Brian Scott, no doubt watching these pictures very carefully to see if they're going to need to bring that driver back in to clean the grill off of that deuce.
It's hard to get a good read on that.
Yeah, see on the sides where they have
Gotta
their
go behind the 6 right here.
I mean, it's hard to say, huh?
And it looks like
That I might take a chance on leaving him out there.
yeah, they might have got lucky there. One thing I have noticed that the JGR cars have 2 wiper blades versus the 1 that could certainly be an advantage. You're talking about Brendan Gaughan possibly being out there without a wiper. I don't even understand that thinking whatsoever. But.
Now they're going to get the 1 to go signal here. So when they come back to the start-finish line, we're going racing.
These tires, I mean, you have limited experience on rain tires, but do they have more grip after you get a lap or 2 or corner or 2?
Yeah, certainly they need some heat in them, yes, to have that grip that you're really looking for, to have any. You know, you've got to adjust here. This is going to be an interesting turn 1. We'll probably see this get stacked up and somebody run into the back of somebody.
Got a moment or so before they get back around. Ty Dillon, remember we saw that car smoking earlier, and the speculation was maybe picked up a leak in an oil pan or something like that. Let's get an update on pit road on Ty Dillon, Jamie.
Well, it's still speculation at this point. When he came in, they looked the car over, and they really can't tell. The one thing they do know, the smoke has gone away. So if it's a transmission or whatever it may be, they can't do anything about it at this point. They're just going to stay out there, hammer down, do the best they can. You guys talked about the points. He came in 4th in the points. So they're just going to race hard until something breaks.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you do. Right now, if it is, let's say, a hole in the oil pan or an oil line that's in the scavenge side, it under these kind of RPM conditions, it puts most of the oil back to the oil tank. So when it's high RPM, you got a lot of oil whipping in the engine, that they might have a problem with that. We'll see how it works out for them. But I would do the same thing. I'd leave him out there.
So here we come to a restart. 26 cars on the lead lap, about to be 27 with the free pass car. Rain tires on the machines. And an interesting run awaiting down to turn 1 as these drivers get a feel for the braking and the grip levels on both the racetrack and race car under these conditions.
What's the chances we see everybody make it through turn 1?
I'd lose everything I'd bet, and so somebody's got to get
survival
out
now, bud. To let everybody else do what they need to do, and let's keep it between the track here.
That's good advice, if you can do it.
But you're out front here. You're in the front. How far do you drive it down there? Because there's going to be some others thinking they might can get there a little further. And
Andy Lally to pit road as they come to green. Trevor Bayne, Brian Scott heading the field. Here we go.
Obviously another that has that experience.
Oh, there goes Kenny Hobble around. Pointed in the right direction. We'll keep going. Sam Hornish through to the lead.
Alex Tagliani might have been the only person that was kind of hoping that it might rain here today. I really believe this is going to be a huge advantage for him.
Dakota Armstrong is off.
See how ginger they have to get in those corners when it's wet. Everybody doing a good job so far.
Armstrong has continued away from where he went off at the exit of turn 3. We stay under the green flag. Regan Smith trying to make up some ground.
Elliott's done a nice job on this restart of getting himself going the right direction. Here comes Tagliani.
For the race lead. Make the corner.
Just overdid it a little bit. I can hear the tire top.
Clear to come back on. Come back on. There you go.
That was turn 8. Now around the carousel.
Well, this takes tremendous discipline. You see the line that these cars are running. They're not running right where they were before. They're trying to get off that line to catch a little bit more grip, because all the oil and all that stuff is in that part of the racetrack. If they're going to find any grip, it's going to be out of the normal racing line.
This part of the racetrack can be tricky. Catch that one of those painted curbs you were talking about that's a little bit now.
And a really high speed, high braking area. You can see they're staying much further away from that curbing than what they were earlier.
Watching Sam Hornish in the back end of that 54 car, wiggling and wobbling everywhere, but he's hanging on to it.
Yeah, look how quickly this 22's recovered and coming back towards these first two.
Tagliani for second. Half a lap after sliding wide in turn 5, racing Hornish for the lead and falling to third place. I beg your pardon, I think that was turn 8. He went wide. Now he's back to second.
See how he's doing all the braking in that other section on the right-hand side of the road.
Oh, Sam is wide.
Yeah. Pushed it just a little too much there.
And Tagliani up to the inside. New leader, Alex Tagliani. Done being dicey yet for these guys moving. Just even going off by themselves. Look at them tiptoeing into that corner. Wow.
And it's just getting slicker each time a little bit here too, because it is continuing to rain.
I think it's really interesting watching the line that Tagliani is taking there. You can see in turn 5 he was completely wide of the normal groove.
Brian Scott, Trevor Bayne for third place.
And just what you talked about there, you know, where that rubber was, where the oil and the grit that was there before, that's the slickest part of the track now. So you're going to have to search around, and that's somebody like Tagliani that knew all of that and able to use that experience for himself. See Justin Martin trying to take that spot away. Trevor Bayne.
He was off the line to make the next corner. So Bayne gets back around. Chase Elliott's view.
Ginger they have to be with that throttle on the exit of these corners.
Chase Elliott's not even using the windshield wiper. It's not working, or he's just relying on that Rain-X coating they have on the windshield.
Yeah, the view from our camera, the camera's up on the roof of the car, but you see there the windshield wiper. I That's from Trevor Bain's view. But that windshield wiper on the Chase Elliott car was not moving at all.
You don't want to follow that car in front of you right in his tracks either, because he's not only throwing up more moisture, but he's throwing up dirt and grime too that will only make it worse for you in trying to get your vision.
Dustin Marks. That was nice. That was a great save.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Chase Elliott trying to take fourth from Trevor Bain.
Getting in there pretty hot.
Yeah, that was pretty hot. Oh, he did a good job there.
Wow. Up to fourth place for Chase Elliott, Dave.
And I went up to Ernie Cope and I said, how about that wiper motor? Your choice, or is it broken? He said, we just don't want to run it. There you have it.
Okay.
Doesn't seem to be slowing him down any.
You know, something that I saw earlier, especially as they're up to speed, the air actually moves those things, and it doesn't get right on the windshield. It can actually probably make it worse if you know when your wiper blades are kind of worn and you're not getting the best effect, that it actually can sometimes make the windshield worse.
Racing as hard as you can, but tiptoeing in slick conditions. That's what's happening here at Road America right now for these NASCAR Nationwide Series drivers. Out in front, driving for Penske, Alex Tagliani, the 40-year-old from Montreal. Former winner here at Road America in kart champ car competition, trying to do it in NASCAR. Nationwide Series, Gardner Denver 200, fired up by Johnsonville from Road America in Wisconsin. Reminding you, NASCAR.com has your latest NASCAR information. Looking down the hill from turn 6 to turn 5, you saw Brian Scott go wide. I think that's Ryan Reed coming up the hill at you. Not only wide, but with a little damage to the left front corner of that 16 car. This was a lap ago, same spot on the racetrack where that happened to the young Californian. Watch Brendan Gaughan's black and gold car. Crunch.
Yeah, he was out on that painted part that we were talking about and just couldn't get the grip. Kept trying to apply a little bit more, but I think maybe Brendan Gaughan got the worst of it. Trevor Bain's really been struggling as we've got some laps and this track gets wetter.
Just ran wide.
It's getting wetter too. I mean, we've seen a little more water on the racetrack, and it's getting more difficult. So, you know, a lot of drivers trying some different lines, trying to find grip.
I was holding my breath for Elliott Sadler there, but he was looking for water.
Yeah, he was looking for that. Exactly.
So Tagliani, Cornish, first and second, separated by 3 seconds now. You see these drivers really having to tiptoe around some of these corners, and check out the numbers. Sam, who's led most of the race today, the fastest lap on the slick tires in drier conditions, and the fastest lap on the rain tires in the wet conditions. 30 seconds a lap slower.
Yeah, and they're actually a lot slower than that right now. They've lost even more time because of the track getting wetter.
Having that dark shield on a suddenly cloudy and gloomy rainy day is probably not helping Sam either. Running second right now, Dave.
And he's not being funny when he says, I just don't have any forward drive. You know, you can adjust these cars better than the next car, but Sam is having trouble getting out of the corner with whatever adjustments they were able to make to the 54 when they put on the rain tires.
Yeah, the one thing that I did see on that 22 is they took the time on their pit stop to go down a couple of rounds on the track bar.
Yeah.
And probably made a big difference on the exit of the corner for them.
Yeah, I saw them go more than a couple. I think they were trying to get it down as low as possible.
So Hornish running in second spot, not with either one of those twin windshield wipers going on the front window of that 54. Brian Scott third, and now Chase Elliott running in fourth position, getting some experience racing in the rain and getting some advice from a rather interested observer.
If you'll stay more to the inside, you'll have a better run at them corners, I think. Might be a little more grip down there. Head forward. Okay. That's what that 22's doing. He stays to the inside till the very last minute, and then he'll just kind of fan out, get his arc, but just whatever you feel like.
It was great advice, and I watched Chase Elliott. He started doing the same thing. I mean, he took that advice very well, and he ran the fastest lap on the racetrack, not this lap, but the lap before. So he's learning this thing as he goes and doing a good job and taking some good advice from somebody he ought to be listening to.
The unmistakable voice of Dad Bill, who is watching. And it's interesting to me, fathers and sons, right, or brothers and so on, trying to give advice to the guy that's in the race car when you're not. But the way that he phrased it, this is what the 22 is doing. This is what I'm seeing. But whatever you think, you're behind the wheel.
Yeah, it's not like he's forcing that on him. That this is what you have to do. For the guy that's out front, this is what he's doing. That's the best advice that you can get. You have to make that choice. You're out there doing this, but here's something that you might try.
Well, that wrap that Brendan Gaughan's 62 car took behind that right front tire apparently didn't damage the handling on that machine any, because he's showing a little bit of speed and up to 5th place.
He took a good shot in that right front. I mean, you can see the damage right behind the tire and to the tire and wheel.
Yeah, I thought surely that had as hard as that was. Hold on now, Brendan.
Keep digging, keep digging, keep digging.
He was doing that before it got.
I was just gonna
We
say.
saw him a couple of times off.
Yeah. That'd be his 3rd touch of the grass today in this car.
That's 3 that we saw.
Ty Dillon has dropped back to 14th place, Jamie.
And Ty Dillon telling his team, I do not have 4th gear. He said he doesn't actually think it's bothering him so much or hurting his times. It's more racing in the rain, so the team trying to help him with his braking. But in the meantime, it's just he's dealing with not having that 4th gear.
Yeah, the problem with not having 4th gear means that there's some parts that have come apart in that train.
Yeah, that's what I worry about more than anything, is what's going to happen next.
And with such long straightaways at this track, having it.
Yeah, but the thing is that they're so much slower now that high gear is probably not nearly as important to have. I mean, you can control the RPM by, basically the speed of the car is just not as high as it was.
He almost needs it to continue to rain,
Yes,
to make it through the day. Here's Dakota Armstrong off once again.
And he's coming back on again.
Got some damage to the right front corner of that 43 car.
Justin Mark's putting some pressure on Chase Elliott right now.
Yeah, Justin Mark doing a nice job since it started raining.
43 car started to get going again, but now he's stopped and he's on the pavement, being watched by race control to see if we need a caution. There he goes. Now he's got it going again.
Yeah, he has a right front fender hanging off that thing now.
Yep. All right, so that from Dakota Armstrong. Brian Scott running in 3rd. Oh, Elliott Sadler's off.
Dig on, dig on, dig on, dig on, behind the 42.
Boy. Let's see what happened to Elliott.
I'll give you an idea just how slick it is over there.
Yeah, you get going, you get a little bit more confidence, think you can do just a little bit more. Like I say, I only have practice experience that, but I found myself doing the same thing just in practice, in that, you get a little bit better feel, okay, I can attack this just a little bit more. It's just so difficult.
Yeah, I remember the day you were talking about over at Suzuka when they first put the rain tires on, because I was there. And it was almost a festive atmosphere because NASCAR drivers had never, ever done it before. But it also was an exhibition race. You were in Japan racing. It was an exhibition. There was no championship at stake. And everybody just had a blast in a certain way.
Yes.
Trying it out. I remember the late Bobby Hamilton pulling into the garage area. And I was standing there, and he got out of the car with this huge smile on his face. And he pointed down at his shoes. And they were soaked, because they didn't have any experience on sealing the car up to keep the water from the road coming in. And he said, look inside my car. And I stuck my head in. There was about 3/4 of an inch of water in the floor pan under where his feet were. Now they know they've got to be prepared to race in the rain, and it's part of your checklist for preparing a road course car is seal it up.
Yeah, and you can see the rain's getting worse over there. Track's getting a lot wetter. It's getting to be a struggle.
And Brian Scott, remember we saw first off pit road and get off in the grass and have the nose covered get off into the grass and have the nose covered in grass. I'm guessing the wet has helped wash that
Probably, yeah, sure has.
off and keep him from having an overheating problem. Well, an interesting twist. But then we see a lot of interesting twists when the Nationwide Series comes to Road America. Alex Tagliani is out in front for now. Known as the one they ran in the rain. Wet weather just at the halfway point of the race. Sent teams onto the rain tires, and there's the gap. First to second, Alex Tagliani back to Sam Hornish Jr., new third-place runner. Justin Marks has just gotten around Brian Scott, with Scott right there in front of Brendan Gaughan in fourth and fifth positions. Trevor Bayne back on track after an off-course excursion a moment ago. You see the front-end damage on that 6 car. Here's what happened.
That's J.J. Yeley just in front of him. He runs up on him. It's like the 28 may have let off it. Approaching that corner, Trevor wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, you can see it starts wheel hopping immediately. It's able to get going though. With the tread that's on these rain tires, he was able to get enough grip to get out of there.
So Trevor all the way back now to 16th place. Tough day in the championship for Bayne, who, remember, finished second in the race at Dover, then had the tough luck last week at Michigan when another car spun out underneath him early in the race, and he had a bad finish last Saturday.
Yeah, and was having a great day here. Driven from the back after having to start there, making adjustments after qualifying, and driven all the way into the top 5 before the range came.
Update on the 6 from Dave.
So the discussion has been this. Chad Norris, the crew chief, says if you're not overheating, stay out. As you see Kenny Hobble trying to make a pass on Trevor. Trevor says the temps are fine, but I think I may have a flat tire. If that's not the case, he still is going to stay out. The one thing that they were thinking was if they pitted and the caution came out, they'd be back ahead of everybody. But that would give most everybody enough laps under caution to make it without stopping. So really between a rock and a hard place for the 6 as he races Kenny in the 20.
There's a couple things going on there where that call to pit or not pit is concerned, Dave. One is the fuel window to the finish, and if and when a caution might come out, and guys out here riding around.
Bring it to us if it is, bud. Bring it to us. We're ready for you.
Skating around in the rain, someone getting off the track and crashing
Bring it in,
out a
they're
caution
ready.
is a possibility at any second. The other is if the edge of the weather system passes us by and the track begins to dry out, and you have to go back onto slick tires.
That's where it's going to get really interesting, and it's going to be the timing of what the crew chiefs, when they put the drier tires on. You see what the radar looks like, and it is going to stop. At what point, does the track start drying enough to put slicks on?
Yeah, I just don't know that it's going to get to that point to where you could be comfortable knowing that enough of the track is going to get dry enough that you could put slick tires back on these things and make any time.
If it happens, it could get wild.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So 14 laps to go, but that's a quarter of the race here at Road America. So we're just 3/4 home. Still another round of pit stops to come. And right now, the gap between first and second is growing as Alex Tagliani is pulling away from Sam Hornish, little bits and pieces, lap after lap, and doing a great job driving that 22.
Yeah, it's amazing. I watched some of these lap times, and they're about 3 minutes, 20 seconds. Last lap was 3 minutes, 22 for Tagliani. And look at Justin Marks. He's just under that 3. Oh, he's got some. Yeah, he has a lot
he's been off the track somewhere.
Anyway, Justin Marks is a couple of seconds faster, actually. Almost 3 seconds faster last lap.
Trevor Bayne on the pit lane. Now, frustrating day for Trevor as he rejoins the competition.
Drivers that seem every lap are those 1, 2, and 3 quickest times around here, and that's our leader Tagliani, and then Justin Marks and Brendan Gaughan seem to have the racing in the rain figured out a lot better than the others.
74 car. Out of power. And at a spot on the racetrack where there's no place to go, down by Canada Corner, this could bring out a full course yellow, and does. Third caution of the race. Sets us up for a round of pit stops here. And erases a 6.6 second lead that Alex Tagliani had over Sam Hornish, and a quickly closing Justin Marks.
Yeah, Justin Marks had figured something out. He was 3 seconds a lap faster 2 laps ago. The last lap he was 2 seconds faster than Tagliani.
So while the pace car gathers up the field, what happened to Chase Elliott that covered the nose of that Camaro with grass? That's what happened.
Yep, carried just a little too much speed. Well, you knock it out of the fairway, you just go through and hit the next shot, right?
Right.
Just keep going.
Sometimes you're playing out of the sand.
The top of the grill is clear. So I think we might be all right. Just try getting up behind the car in front of you, and we'll get the best we can.
I would say not, Bernie. This is a lot of grass in here. I don't think he saw that.
Well, we'll see if it's time.
Well, right at 250, but it's not going up like it was.
All right.
The one thing the crew chiefs and engineers, they don't really have any experience on what the fuel consumption is, so it's really
Keep
difficult.
showing on TV. It's covered pretty good.
They finally got a good shot of that. It's difficult to predict how much fuel that these cars are using. This is going to be an opportunity if they make this pit stop to get some of that experience, even though I know they can make it from here. But if they're getting good enough mileage, they might have been able to make it all the way to the end. It's hard to predict.
So what you're saying is when they open the pit lane, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. It's just a lot of unknowns.
And don't really...
And the tires. The tires are the other thing. You don't know how much they're wearing in this, and are they worth anything to put new rain tires on? All of these are questions that's never been answered before.
We'll see.
One thing for sure that you always know, that the cars that were running faster were using more fuel.
Yeah, that's true. If they had slowed down, I mean, a minute per lap or so, even more. So that uses a lot less fuel. I bet there are very few places they could really get the throttle down.
It is going to be interesting to see. Again, we watched that weather system as it cleared through before the end of the race. Looking at the sky out to the west,
Looks beautiful, actually.
a lot brighter than it was not all that long ago. If the tail end of this thing does move through, is there enough racing left for the track to dry to a point that you want to put on the slick tires to make some time or not? And how does the fuel play out? Right here.
And how about the restart?
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, we're probably not finished with cautions yet.
25 cars on the lead lap still. So a lot at stake for these guys who hope to be champion at the end of the year. And even
Green light, what do you want me to do for the pit?
One good thing, Trevor Bangden made his pit stop. If these others have to come in, he's already been on pit road and on the lead lap, and he's got his stuff done.
That's true. He's in 21st right now. He might end up with a pile of track position here if these guys come in. Oh, they just closed pit road.
That's interesting. Not sure why they did that.
Don't have the whole field gathered up behind the pace car, so that would be why. So it's going to be another lap under the yellow before they come to the pit lane, and we see how any of these questions get answered. It's been interesting, and we're not done yet. back to Road America after this message from your ABC station.
Back inside the SportsCenter newsroom, I'm Corey Warren with a programming note to tell you about because of the delay in the nationwide race today. If you're looking for Canada and the USA in rugby, that game will start on TSN2. Very busy Saturday. Let's get you up to speed on some of the stories we're following for SportsCenter. World Cup Group F action, Argentina and Iran, late second half injury time. Leo Messi curls the ball around and over a couple of defenders as Argentina wins it 1-0. They are off to the knockout stage. NHL news, the Panthers have announced that Gerard Gallant will be the team's new head coach next season. Gallant spent the last 2 years as an assistant for the Canadians. He becomes the Panthers' third bench boss in the last 12 months. Orioles and Yankees this afternoon. Top of 5. Steve Pearce takes Vidal Nuno deep to left. 2-run shot, his 6th of the season as the O's take it 6-1 the final. And once again, if you're looking for the start of Canada-USA Rugby, you can see that match on TSN2. We'll have highlights on SportsCenter.
NASCAR racing is brought to you by Dodge. Visit Dodge.ca to check out the 2014 Dodge Dart.
Subway, eat fresh. Looks great.
Yeah. Look at the spinach.
Avocados. Experience the fresh effect with the return of avocado and spinach at Subway. Eat fresh.
Early. Then we've had wet weather conditions come in around the halfway point of the race. The teams are all on rain tires now. We're waiting for pit road to be open to see who might need to make another stop to make it to the finish. And then we're watching the radar and seeing clearing conditions to the west and wondering if drier conditions will necessitate a rush of strategy to pit road for slick tires between now and when the checkered flag waves. Got all that? There'll be a test later.
Looks like we might be finished with the rain.
Maybe. We still have a very wet racetrack, though, and getting down close to just 10 laps to go. I can't see that the track itself is just going to dry in that amount of time to where slick tires would work.
Yeah, and they're on their own now. The crew chiefs can make the decision to go back with not change tires or put wet tires back on or put slicks on. And I'm with you. I don't think the track's dry enough or going to dry enough to take that gamble of let's put slicks on now and hope the track does get dry and we can take advantage. I think it's just, the call here would either be to leave the tires you have on and get fuel or put some new rain tires on.
Yeah, and that's the decision, a tough decision, as you were mentioning, because you really don't have any data from any other time telling you how long these tires ago, what kind of wear they're getting. You haven't had a set on to take them off and look at them to have any idea.
Have no idea how much wear you have.
And of course, we're under the yellow now as we come up to the final 10 laps of this race. And history here says those last 10 laps, we see a lot of yellow flags and a lot of beating and banging. And what was it, your phrase? Feelings get hurt?
Feelings get hurt and points get lost.
4 after lap 40 last year and in 2011. Somebody that deserves a mention while we're watching the cars come back around to the pit lane under the caution flag. J.J. Yaley running the double this weekend. NASCAR Sprint Cup race out in Sonoma, California, and here at Road America in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. He's in the number 28 car, and he's up to 11th position.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. He must have a little experience maybe racing in the rain.
Must have. He passed a lot of cars there during that session or part of the race that we had when they put these rain tires on, so he made his way forward.
His background is dirt racing, USAC, right? The open wheels, the midget sprints. That's where he came from before he got into NASCAR. But he has done a great job here today in Wisconsin. And tip of the cap to J.J. Yaley, who's running again in 11th position.
Two other drivers that we see inside the top 10 that have really done a nice job were Ryan Reed and Chris Buescher, teammates over at Roush Fenway. They drove themselves during that rain part up inside the top 10 in the 8th and 9th spots.
Chris Buescher overcoming a pit road speeding penalty earlier in the race that dropped him back to 31st position. He's now running in 9th. And Ryan Reed, we saw the contact he had with Brendan Gaughan and the damage on the left front of that 16 machine. But the young man from California is doing quite well here at Road America today.
And something I saw there from our points leader, Regan Smith, during that rain was almost a survival mode, and probably the smartest thing that you could do. I mean, he knew what happened here last year. I mean, he got knocked out of the way and things, but he knew that he just needed to protect here. Nobody that's around him is going to go up and win this race from that point, so he's not going to lose a lot if he just stays on the track. How about their strategy, Doc?
Yeah, he talked about this being a redemption weekend. We talked about him trying to come back and just get a solid finish. But during the heavy rains, Ryan Pemberton, the crew chief, told him, said, look, we're basically right on our number. We may be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel if we are careful, rolling in the throttle, rolling out of the throttle, and not getting off the course. We should be okay. We're right on it. The question is, do we want to gamble being the points leader? So I think Regan sort of backed off. He said, you got a comfortable spot, 9 seconds in front of you, 9 seconds behind you. Stay where you are, save fuel, and let's get a good finish and leave here as the points leader with even a better lead than we had when we came in.
Yeah, see, in dry conditions, there's no way they could make that from that last pit stop. But under these kind of conditions, they get a whole lot better fuel mileage.
Pit road open. You see some takers and some passing.
Very interesting here.
Yeah, it is.
The race leader, Tagliani, has chosen to stay out, as have Sam Hornish Jr., Brian Scott, and Justin Marks. They've all stayed on the racetrack here. Doc?
And Brendan Gault will come in, and as you guys said, there really is no history knowing how much these rain tires wear, but they've opted to go ahead and change tires all the way around, put 4 tires on it, and they top it off with Sunoco fuel, wipe the windshield with a little more Rain-X on him. Dave?
Because he got off the course and got the grill full of grass, Chase Elliott had to pit, no tires, top it off with fuel, and get that motor breathing again. Sadler's also on pit road, guys, because he wanted a shock adjustment to help that car in the rain, plus they wanted to top it off with fuel.
Well, interesting that some stayed, some pitted. The skies are brightening.
I like the idea of having some fuel for sure.
Especially if we go overtime.
Yes, what we've seen here in the past.
And a restart coming.
On the wet track.
Uh-huh.
But I see some blue sky.
We're not done yet with the twisted plot in this one, I'm pretty sure. Back to Road America for the restart. Getting ready for a restart with what will be 10 laps to go in the Gardner-Denver 200 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Right now, a wet track, but the umbrella's beginning to be put away in the grandstand surrounding us and on the pit lane across from us. And will the track dry out enough to make it worth coming to get slick tires for the last dash to the finish? That's the debate that's being played out on the race leaders radio. Alex Tagliani and his crew chief, Jeremy Bullins.
It may or may not rain the rest of the race. So what we've got to do right here is get as far out as we can, and if it dries out, we would put dries on it and enough fuel to make it to the end, okay? So we've got to just hang on right here and get as far away from these guys as we can, and then if we get a little gap, we'll start saving a little bit of fuel again. If it stays wet, we'll save enough fuel to make it to the end.
Well, that kind of spells it out. I mean, if it dries up, they're not going to have enough fuel to make it, and they're going to need to change tires. So I think he's got a handle on it.
We'll good laps, and then we'll start pacing it out.
Other than the part that may or may not rain again. Yeah. All of us can say that, but no, he does such a great job at calling these races and getting his driver in the best position to try to win these nationwide races.
Sam Hornish runs second, Dave.
And Adam Stevens is making the calls down here. The call was to stay out. How are you on fuel? And you haven't been able to see the tires, so how do you think they're doing?
Well, all reports from the guys who did change tires, they say they look really good. So not really worried about that right now. But as this track gets dry, it's going to eat these rain tires up. So the big debate is when we're going to put our slicks on. Short run to the finish here, you know, we might have to pit here in 5-6 laps and everybody put slicks on.
How do you make that decision? Is he going to help you with where the track's too dry and all that?
Yeah, I mean, that'll be partially his call, and then we'll watch the lap times close.
10-4. Thanks, Adam.
I think there's a few crew chiefs down there a little nervous about all this.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
And we know how much time you lose by coming on to pit road. So you have to know that those slicks are that it is dry enough that you can go make a lot of time, but you're going to have to be passing cars and things that are going to stay out there. So that's a big gamble.
Well, here they come to the restart. 10 laps to go. Tagliani and Hornish on the front row. Justin Marks in that neon yellow-nosed car, who really was making good time just before the yellow, lurking right behind him. Does he make a 3-wide move down toward turn 1? Here we go. Cornish is wide.
Inside, you're 3 wide.
Scott with a nice move to second.
One inside.
Whoa, hang on. And look at the visibility for these drivers back in the pack. One around, Trevor Bayne.
Good, keep coming, keep coming. 3 cars going down, buddy.
I'm thinking he got a little help right there.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
He drove right into your door.
Regan Smith slipping and sliding around. Racing there with Justin Marks. Here's what happened to Trevor Bayne.
Oh, a lot of help. Yeah, Ty Dillon just getting in there way too hard for the conditions.
Piece of the splitter off the 6 car laying there on the ground.
Brian Scott here. I'm sure that Taglione is probably saving a little bit of fuel here right now, but Brian Scott doing an excellent job. Right there on him.
And I like the way Brian, he's kind of adjusted his line too. He's kind of doing the same thing that Taglione is doing.
Yeah, this is the type of situation. You put a little pressure on a guy, you can get him to make a mistake. Overdrive that corner just a little bit, and you pounce right when that happens.
Nine laps to go. You have to be careful not to get a little too overconfident too.
Yes.
Out there racing around in the rain and start trying to push because
You know what you're doing. Don't get greedy.
there you go. See
That's
that
it.
leader
That's
there?
the whole key.
See that trophy lurking out there in front of you.
Yeah, we see this rain kind of getting out of here. What's going to happen when this track starts drying is these rain tires, real soft. They'll make a lot of heat on a dry racetrack. So what they'll do is they'll try to find places on the racetrack to cool these tires off until they can get them off when the track's dry enough for slicks. But that's going to be they'll have to change their line again as the track starts drying.
This won't get dry enough to get slicks on here today. I just don't see that happening. They will have to hunt and find some wet spots, which sounds crazy because most of the time you want to stay away from that, but that's exactly what they'll have to do.
Front two have pulled away from Sam Hornish by 5 seconds.
Well, it's got to be just so hard to have the discipline, knowing you're that close. Brian Scott knowing he's that close, not overdriving it.
Jeremy Clements has been around on the track and continued, and Trevor Bayne has hit something significant
hard.
And you saw the crew member there waving him off that something's broken underneath that gaping hood that's going to keep them.
Shut it off. I got to go to the garage here. Shut it off.
Well, we got the radiator there for sure.
So back to the lead.
Seeing Brian Scott kind of do here, and he probably learned that, and maybe racing with Taglione helped him a little bit too, but it's more momentum, keeping that momentum up. You're not charging the corner, but you're keeping the momentum, probably using higher gears most of the time to where you're just not slipping. You're just really not seeing Brian slip those rear tires as much as what he was before, and you still have a very wet racetrack.
Yeah, look at the sun now, shining down at that end of the racetrack. Yeah. Now, I'm with you. The track's not going to get dry enough for anybody to use slicks. So now this is going to become making sure you have the tires that you do have on the car underneath you to the finish, and then fuel.
I think fuel may be the key as to who wins this.
I think you're right too, because as this track does get drier, it's going to take more power, and it's going to use more fuel.
Last two drivers to win here scored their first NASCAR Nationwide Series victory. Alex Tagliani and Brian Scott, both seeking their first NASCAR Nationwide Series win.
The track's getting just incrementally quicker. Watching these lap times just to kind of gauge how much moisture is coming up out of the racetrack. And that's what the engineers and crew chiefs will be looking. They'll look at lap times to try to get a good handle on how much fuel they're using.
Elliott Sadler is on the pit lane. Back end of that car squatting down pretty well.
Looks like the right rear might be down.
Yeah, he had made a pit stop to make some adjustments on his car and get enough fuel to get to the end for sure. And then, well, the last couple of weeks, he just hasn't had any good luck go his way.
One car wide, Justin Marks. Overshot turn 5.
He was having a really good day.
Yeah, he was running fourth before that.
How crazy has this been? Had the sunglasses out this morning when we came in. Although it was foggy and overcast, I had them with me and not stuffed away in the suitcase somewhere or something. Now it's been cloudy and overcast and rainy for most of the race, and now here we go with the sun shining again as we get down to the finish.
Yeah, as they're throwing up rooster tails, we have sunshine.
Oh, Sam Hornish is off.
I tell you who's looking to end up with a really good day is Chase Elliott, who has made his pit stop that time to get the grass off the grill, but has driven his way back into the top 5 in that 5th spot right now.
Yeah, he came in and just got fuel, so he got off pit road quick. Got a couple more together, James Busher and Mike New.
Yep. If they can get these cars going. Yep, looks like they're both going to be able to continue on.
You see the shadow now. I mean, it's the sun's shining on the racetrack.
We saw Trevor Bayne with a heavily damaged car. Dave?
Yeah, they rolled it back here, Alan, and Trevor's back here now. Talk to us about the incident on track and then what ultimately put you out.
Yeah, it all went downhill as soon as the rain started coming down. We had a really good day going in the top 5, coming from the back after my mistakes in qualifying. So it's a terrible day for this Advocare Mustang. We were looking for a good points day, and we're on the wrong side of it again here. So we'll have to fight hard to get these points back, but I know we can. Just on the track, getting up out of turn 6, the 3 was inside, and then he was almost inside the race car with me there. So I don't know if he just hit a wet patch. I mean, it's so slick and so touchy where there's rubber on the track and in the water. None of us are used to racing in the rain, and I don't know if he just overdrove it or if it was intentional, who knows, but it killed the left side, sent us into the mud there. When I pulled back on the track, I had mud on the tires and couldn't get stopped and knocked the nose off. So not exactly what we want here, but to be in this nationwide insurance points battle, we need to be better in this week in, week out, and I don't know.
Thanks, Trevor. Alan?
Al, he's right about one thing. He started at the back and raced his way all the way up into the top 5, and then his race turned around when the weather conditions went sour. And Trevor Bayne going to fall out of a race for the 2nd straight week after not having any DNFs in the first dozen races of this season. There's first to second. Alex Tagliani to Brian Scott. What a great drive today for Brian.
Yeah, if you look back just behind these, I want to look at lap times again. And Brendan Gaughan is like a couple of seconds quicker than these top 2.
But he's 11 seconds back.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just looking at the lap times and how much quicker he's running. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things, you bring up a point, I think these leaders are being really careful, especially Tagliani.
There's Brendan. Now, Brendan stopped and topped off his fuel, among other things, at lap 39, while the guys ahead of him are on that we last stopped at lap 27 schedule. And do we have enough fuel to make the checkers?
I just don't think they do.
See, I did hear Sam's car there as he went through the kink, breaking a little traction. So Sam Hornish has led the most laps in this one and will end up leading the most laps in this one. 25 of the 43 that have been run so far, but he runs now in 4th position, 13 seconds off the lead. Chase Elliott, also one of the drivers that stopped at lap 39 and has enough fuel to go to the finish. So really the outstanding questions here are, do the top two have the gas to go to the finish? Do we see a caution flag that changes the complexion of things and bunches the pack back up again? And does Brendan Gaughan have enough differential in lap time to try and run him down and make it interesting? He's chopped a couple of seconds off it, but he's still almost 10 seconds back.
Second half quicker last lap.
And what a day it would be for Brendan. A recovery off track 3 different times in this race. Regan Smith is on the pit lane with 6 laps to go, Doc.
Yeah, a year ago running 4th in the late lap, got spun around, finished 32nd. Today he comes in running 10th, and apparently they've got an overheating issue. The temperature was climbing so quickly they have to come in and clean the grill and just add a little bit of Sunoco fuel, but a tough break. The engine would not have lasted. It was getting too hot, too fast.
It just means he's been off course at some point in time since that last restart. Get all that grass on the grill. As you know, it wasn't there when we restarted, and they would have pitted if it would have been a fuel issue. So unfortunate for them once again.
So Alex Tagliani leads. Remember, we heard the long radio transmission from Jeremy Bullins, the crew chief, to tag just before the restart about where they stood on tires and fuel and so on and all the what ifs. Here's the latest from the 22.
Keep the tires in the wet, lift early when you can, short shift when you can, and easy on power down. 4 seconds back, 4 seconds back.
Yeah, he's trying to get all the information he can to save fuel. That's going to be the issue, whether he has enough or not. I think he has plenty of car.
What about Brian Scott's fuel situation, Doc?
I guess the short answer is they don't know. They hope that he's got enough. And remember I told you earlier that Danny Lawrence, the engine builder for RCR, said we're going to pour the horsepower of these cars because of how these long straightaways are and late in the race to run somebody down. To do that, we're going to give up fuel miles. So instead of getting 19 or 20 laps per tank, we're going to get about 17 per tank. That's not good news for Brian Scott. He's trying to hang on and be smooth with the throttle. They think they've got enough, but given the pace here, with rain tires, they just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, really nobody does. I mean, all it is the best guess, and who's really got the kind of a handle on these lap times versus how much fuel it's using.
You know, it's a huge gamble for this team, but it's a gamble that may pay off for them in a way that if they do make this work, because of the problems that Regan Smith has had and some others, they've got themselves back in the possibility of a championship battle. So it's really worth the gamble for them because they need something big like this.
Back it down when you can. Save me some fuel here, please.
Wow. Brendan Gaughan can keep pouring on the fire.
Yeah, he can get all that he wants to stay, as long as he stays on the track.
Recent history says we're going to have a caution and a late sprint to the finish. That's 8 of the last 10. There are still those other 2. Trying racetrack. Dwindling fuel supply. Dwindling lead. Brendan Gaughan can see Brian Scott now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that he's going to get to that second spot. If he doesn't get over aggressive and
greedy. That's the word we heard on the radio there.
Hardest thing for a race driver to do is just not do any more than what you're capable of right now and what the car and track is capable of handling.
You know, the big loser in this whole track condition, the rain and all that, has been Sam Hornick. He had a pretty good handle on the dry racetrack.
Led 25 of the 45 laps that have been run.
Really struggled though since it got wet.
Lost the lead just after the restart where they put the wet tires on. That's when Alex Tagliani got around him and has not been back out in front ever since. Well, there are the numbers. It's a 50-lap race.
Really hard to predict that window.
All the unknowns you've been talking about.
Yeah.
That, you know, they're just going to find out.
There's nothing to be lost for this group either, even though they battle for the Owners' Championship. You know, they're here to win the race.
Yep. Started to talk about Tag earlier and the great variety of race cars that he's driven this year. Think about it. In the last month, he's been behind the wheel of an Indy car, run the Indianapolis 500. He's been behind the wheel of a NASCAR Canadian Tire Series car up in Canada on a road course. Been behind the wheel of a sports car that's his regular ride for this season that he was just testing down at Indianapolis on Thursday on the road course there. And now here he is behind the wheel of a Nationwide Series machine. Talk about versatility and yet with speed and pace and competitive in all.
Yeah, that's certainly a true race driver there to get the job done. All of those type. Different venues and different race cars.
Yeah.
Boy, look at second place tighten up.
Brendan Gaughan is on Brian Scott.
There's really nothing much that Brian can do about this situation and having to save fuel and trying to get himself to the end.
Yeah, his best move right now is let Brendan just let him go. He's doing just that.
So, a lead that was 10 seconds from Tagliani to Gaughan is now 5 seconds with 4 laps to go.
Yeah, Brendan Gaughan's done a great job here all day. Whether the track was dry or wet, he's been fast.
When he stayed on the track.
When he stayed on it.
But you look at that 4 laps to go, and you got to keep that in perspective because it's a 4-mile racetrack.
Last lap by, he was 3 seconds quicker than Tagliani in the lap. 3 seconds in the lap.
Well, that'll get him there.
It will. But you can't make a mistake. Less and less water to go find to cool those rain tires out on the course. And what is the fuel situation on the race leader?
Brendan Gaughan knew that to take advantage if something did happen fuel-wise to the 22, that he had to be in second to take that. He's done that job. Now how much does he continue to attack and try to run down the lead?
I think he's fast enough to catch him now. I'll just keep pushing. You can't count on this the 22 running out of fuel.
Basically those 3. Everybody beyond Brian Scott is another 8 seconds back.
You're catching him.
And the one thing he's doing is making Tagliani run harder, using more fuel.
That's right.
Coming up the hill, 3 laps to go.
Save me all you can. 4-second gap. 4-second gap with 3 laps to go. Save me some fuel here.
So that's the drama.
But I don't think he can catch us. Just run that lap right there and save me some fuel when you can, and we'll be fine.
Jeremy Bullen's doing all the information passing he can to his driver, Alex Tagliani.
I think the numbers say that he can catch him, what I've seen, if he can continue.
At that lap, at that speed he just told him, if he even runs that, then it's going to get really interesting on that last lap.
as if there's not enough to think about. The wet, the dry line, the gear shifting, the braking points, and now how fast you're running, and are you running fast enough to stay in front of the guy who's closing on you?
Yeah, they're coming for 2 to go. That's still 8 miles. That's 16 laps at Bristol. I mean, that keeps it in perspective.
Yeah.
Just how long this racetrack is. Especially when it comes to talking about fuel mileage.
An experienced driver behind the wheel. How easy is it to shut out those distractions and those things and just focus on your pace and your marks and what you're doing? Or is he naturally, like most of us would think, looking up in that rearview mirror and just checking the gap?
He'll take a couple of times just to glance and try to get an idea. When somebody's still 4 seconds behind you, it's hard to gauge sometimes. So the best thing that he can do, and he's doing it, is hit his marks and do the very best that he can in making as fast a lap time as he can and saving the fuel at the same time. That's the hardest thing that he's got, is trying to save the fuel. He knows he could go faster right now, and this wouldn't even be a race to the checkered flag. But he's got to have fuel to get there.
This lap, he seems to have stabilized that gap some. We can see the progression there. Catching quick.
If there are things that he can do now, that he can run a little bit faster lap time because the track is drying out a little bit, that he can carry a little bit more speed, a little bit more momentum, but not use any more fuel at the same time.
Oh, he picked it up big time that lap. He picked up a couple of seconds in what he had been running. But then Brendan Gaughan, it's about, what, 3/4 of a second quicker?
Yeah. Yeah, he picked up his time.
Any fuel here. It's all good.
I mean, he actually is. That kind of stopped that progression a little bit. I mean, he is catching him, but not nearly the rate that he was.
That can only make the driver more nervous when the crew chief is riding him about the fuel.
Yeah, it definitely does. You just have to stay focused on what you're doing and hope that you've done all the right things before in getting yourself to this point.
Second. What a drive it's been for Brendan Gaughan, Doc.
And back on March 12th of this year, Brendan lost his beloved grandfather, John Jackie Gaughan, the noted hotel and casino operator in Las Vegas back in the 50s. They dedicated this year to the memory of his grandfather, who basically helped Brendan get started years ago when he wanted to race locally in the Vegas area. It is his grandfather's name they have above the door. It doesn't say Brendan Gaughan. It says John Jackie Gaughan, where the driver's name normally is. He said, "We want to win one for Grandpa." How emotional this would be. And imagine what he's thinking about right now, saying, if I can just get there, how special this would be for our family.
It certainly would be, and he's got a chance. Justin Marks pulling off.
Probably out of fuel.
Is it going to bring out a caution? He was in 7th place. And one of those guys that pitted on lap 27, just like Tagliani. Caution is out for the stopped 31 car.
Full course caution.
Gotta think that's bad news for Tagliani. I don't think he has enough fuel to go extra here.
I think Brian Scott be in the same position.
Wow. Well, that changes everything. And there we go. That 8 out of 10 with the...
Yeah.
Yep, here we are.
Yep.
Make it 9 out of 11. With a last green run of 2 laps or less. We're going to have some extra racing here in Road America today.
You know how these restarts go at the end of these road courses?
Uh-huh.
A lot of pushing and shoving.
Yeah, it's dried out enough that they're going to get pretty serious on down in turn 1 now. And we're going to get a good chance. It'll be interesting to see if they pit.
Where's
Tagliani's out?
Yeah, there's a 22 car.
Yep.
He wasn't going to make it anyway.
Already, I'm stuck.
Yep, he wasn't going to finish.
And forward, I'm trying to get you some help here.
Wow.
So now you look at Brian Scott, Sam Hornish. Those guys last pitted on lap 27. They're in second and third. Chase Elliott has enough fuel. He's running fourth.
Just past the entrance to the pit lane.
Is the groove dry enough for dry tires?
10-4.
We're going to put gas and 4 tires in it right here.
Wow, what a turn of events. So Brendan Gaughan is the new leader of this race. If I'm him, I'm popping the clutch on that thing and letting it roll back past the pit road entry so you can just get pushed right into the pits.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, he's going to have to get pushed all the way around. Well, Brendan Gaughan finds himself leading Brian Scott here into the final laps of this one, and it has not been an easy day for the Las Vegas native.
No, it hasn't. He's been off-road quite a few times. He's got stuff on the grill, had to come in, make unscheduled stops.
This was when the track was actually dry, and he was off. I thought this really was the hit that was going to take him out of any kind of contention. I really thought that he got that right front tire, but Brendan's persevered through all of that.
And now, for a guy who's from Las Vegas and whose family is involved in the gaming business,
he's going to take a little gamble here.
the luck has fallen his way. They don't have to roll the dice because they've got fuel on board.
Well, they actually did roll the dice. You know, what they did, they came in and made that pit stop and got fuel and made sure that they could go to the end, but they were kind of rolling the dice on whether the other cars could make it.
Yep.
And that we would have some extra racing, a green-white-checkered situation.
Onto the pit lane, pushed by the tow truck, comes Alex Tagliani in the 22.
They have to feel for him.
Oh,
he's done a great job today.
Yeah, but you know, the other side of it is the caution is not what cost him. He wasn't going to make it, so you know, it was a gamble that went awry for them.
So we'll be watching carefully to see if they put slick tires on that 22.
Yeah, I heard him say that he thought it was dry enough for slicks.
And in the meantime, Brendan Gaughan and company are out there leading this race, trying to figure out how they can get to the finish line first and take home that trophy.
Scotty, I'm saying turn 1 dry or no?
No way. Race line's wet. There's mist off your tires the whole way around the corner.
Still real wet going down into turn 2, Shane. Not wet like, you know, it's pouring rain, just it's still wet.
All right, these guys will be ready. You decide if you want them, we'll come for them.
Shane Wilson, the crew chief, putting that on the driver. If you think we need the dry tires, we'll come for them.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from our vantage point, but I still think that the racetrack is probably too wet to put on slicks.
My call right now, if I'm on the box, is to stay out on these tires and take what you get.
You're going to be racing more right here because somebody else is going to run out of fuel here. Can they get far enough out of the racing line that it's not going to create another caution? We'll just have to see. Jamie?
Alex Tagliani still not fired, so he's going to need a little help now. He's trying to crank it right now. They're putting the slicks on. Still hasn't turned over. Still trying to get this car started. How heartbreaking for Alex Tagliani. Won his one and only career race here 10 years ago when Cart led 19 laps today. He has it fired. Now all he can do is go all out, try to gain some positions here. Looks like he will restart about 23rd, tail end of the lead lap cars. They pitted with the red flag out. That means the pits were closed. Still trying to fire it. Alex Tagliani hasn't raced one of these cars since 2012. Raced at the Indy 500 less than a month ago. These cars are much different. Coaching him the whole way. Good enough. He's out. Man, what a heartbreak, Alan.
Yeah, what's going on right there, you can hear the car running. He was basically running on the fuel from that bottle that they were squirting into the engine to keep it running. It takes a good while for that to pull the fuel all the way up there and get solid fuel pressure and all the air out of the fuel lines. That's why they were waiting so long.
He might find that this isn't quite as dry as what they were hoping it was going to be to put those
One thing he
slicks back on.
He can go around. He doesn't have anybody in front of him. He can kind of test the racetrack a little bit.
See if he can stay on while he's testing.
Yeah, we saw Brian Scott run off doing that earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, that was with the rain tires.
Brian Scott stopped at the same lap that Tagliani did. Doc?
Now I'm showing fuel pressure, so I don't know, but it just boggled and about died on me. Think we come?
Yeah,
we need to come if it's really.
Yep, he's going to come because the fuel pressure basically is fluctuated. He said just a moment ago it shut off. I think I'm completely out. So he was coasting. He's going to try to get up here. They're going to put some Sunoco gasoline in it, try to get him restarted. And so he would not have made it had we gone green, but they rolled it ice anyway. And they said, let's go ahead and come in now and put some fuel in it. As you see, Sam Hornick's also coming down pit road. Brian Scott will get a couple of seconds of fuel, and they're considering a tire change. We'll watch them here as they come in, and they're going to put slicks on the 2 car to see if he can come from the back of the field with the slick tires on here over the final 3 laps.
Okay. Doc, Sam Hornish believed it was still too wet to go on the slick tires, so they're going to put a new set of rain tires on Sam's car, fill it full of Sunoco fuel, and send him back out. They were not going to make it. Adam Stevens said if the 22's out, we're going to be out too, so they had to bring Sam down pit road from 3rd place.
I mean, these cars just did not have enough fuel. They may have had enough to go to the end. We don't know, but definitely not enough for a restart for 3 more laps.
Very interesting. So this has really shuffled up the running order of this race. Not only set up the wild scramble toward the finish, but look at who's running where now. 62, Brendan Gaughan's the leader. 9, Chase Elliott is second. 55, Andy Lally is up to 3rd. The 23 car is Kevin O'Connell, a road racer. Normally drives a Lamborghini in some of the IMSA competition. And he comes out here for the road course races in the Nationwide Series, and he's running right now in 4th place. J.J. Yaley's up to 5th. Landon Castle, Carlos Contreras, Ryan Sieg, Jeremy Clements, Elliott Sadler in the top 10.
Yeah.
And we're not done yet.
There's a lot to go yet.
Uh-huh.
J.J. Yeley and Nathan Castle might as well take advantage because they're probably not going to get back to Sonoma where they thought they were
going to catch that flight. Yeah, well, we'll see how it all turns out. The track's drying. Got some folks out there on slicks, some folks on wet tires. Could be crazy. Back to the finish after this from your ABC station. What a gorgeous day it's turned into here at Road America. If you're just joining us, most of this race has been run in wet conditions. We were delayed an hour because the track wasn't wet enough for the wet tires and wasn't dry enough for the slick tires. Then we went racing. At about halfway, the big rains hit. They went to the wet tires, and now as we came down to the finish, the track is drying, the sun is out, and the guy who was leading the race ran out of fuel. And now puts Brendan Gaughan at the head of the stack. And his team looking on to see if they can find a way to lead these last couple of laps of racing and score the win, Doc.
Let's ask Shane Wilson. Shane, how concerned are you? You're on the wet tires, and the track now is drying significantly. That worries you a lot?
Oh, for sure. You know, we've had an up and down day, and I wish it would have went green. But, you know, they're going to be faster in some places, but there's still enough dampness out there that will be good in some spots. Where they want to run with those dry tires is still kind of wet. So it'll be a good race. We're not sure if we can hold them off or not, but we're excited to be leading and excited to have a good day.
Nate Burns.
With Ernie Cope now, he crew chiefs the 9 for Chase Elliott today. Ernie, do you have any concerns for Chase at the end of this race?
Yeah, I mean, I hope we don't get run into, and gas-wise, we're way good, and hopefully the wet tires will hold up, but as long as we don't get run into, we'll see what happens.
All right. Interesting how a problem brought Chase to pit road to get the grill worked on, to get the grill cleaned off, and this may work out in their advantage, Alan.
It's been an interesting topsy-turvy race, that's for sure. For a while in the dry conditions early in the race, looked like Sam Hornish was going to run away with it. Sam led almost the whole first half of the race. From the minute they went onto the wets, he has not been a leader of this race. Tagliani led almost the whole stretch of the race on the wets until the strategy caught up with him and where the cautions have fallen. So Brian Scott on slick tires will be the first of the cars in that line in that condition, and he's out there in 21st place for the restart. Alex Tagliani has to start at the end of the line of cars because he pitted before the pit road was open, so there he is.
Few laps. We get a couple more cautions and a couple more attempts at this, we'll have a shot.
Which is possible.
Yeah, and that's what he has to tell Tagliani because he's starting at the tail. If it just goes one cycle here for a green-white checker, he's probably not going to get a so-so finish. But if he can stay out of trouble, and there is more trouble, which I see some on the horizon, he could take advantage of these dry tires because the track's going to keep getting drier and drier, too.
So, green-white checker. The race has reached its scheduled distance under a caution condition. We'll throw the green here. If they get back around to the white flag without a caution coming out, the next flag ends the race, be it the checkered flag or a yellow flag. We'll see. Brendan Gaughan with Chase Elliott to his outside. Here we go. Chase Elliott trying to nose out in front of Brendan Gaughan off turn one.
Clear, clear, clear.
I don't know if you cleared. Yep, just enough.
Wow, what a move.
New leader of the 9. Downhill to turn 5, off at a pushing and shoving spot in these late laps.
Well, Chase Elliott made a nice corner there. He opened up his lead. Can they get back around to the white flag is going to be a key.
Look at Kevin O'Connell beating on the back bumper of Brendan Gaughan.
Brendan Gaughan making a run back at Chase Elliott now.
Tagliani's up to 15th. Still got a long way to go to come back around here to get the white flag. Brendan Gaughan looking inside as Chase Elliott overshoots Canada corner.
That's a nice move that Brendan Gaughan made right there. He set Chase Elliott up for that.
Yeah, he did. He put enough pressure on it to make a mistake.
He's driving like a wild man. Just go get it. Hit your mark.
I know Chase Elliott wants to win this, but he could look at the big picture right now and have a great points day.
Here they come to the white flag. We are in the final lap at Road America. 4 miles around, 14 turns. What happens? Here's Chase Elliott inside of Brendan Gaughan looking toward turn 1.
Brendan sailed it off in there that time.
He made it stick. Yeah, a little bit of tire smoke now. See, that fender's starting to rub that tire. The faster that they start running, the more pressure they're putting on it.
You can't count this 23 out of this yet either.
Nope. That's Kevin O'Connell, the Californian. The name on the side of his car says Shania. They're racing with Shania Twain's charity on the side of that 23 car.
Going to cost Chase Elliott a little bit of time in position there.
There's been a crash behind these leaders in turn number 3. We stay under green. New second place car. That's Jeffrey Earnhardt and Ryan Sieg, it looks like there. So O'Connell is up to second now behind Brendan Gaughan. Don't think he hasn't watched these NASCAR races on TV and knows that the bumper is fair game.
He knows exactly what that's for. right there, too.
J.J. Yaley's all over the back bumper of Chase Elliott, too.
And look just behind him.
Alex Tagliani is all the way up to 4th place and charging. Watch him go after Chase Elliott here. Oh, yeah.
Even a contest.
Outside, clear.
Knock him out of the way.
Just a couple of corners left. Brendan Gaughan got a little gap. Does he have enough?
Keep digging, you got him.
Final corner. Tagliani on the charge. Going to be a drag race up the hill to the checkered flag.
22 back there. You need to dig hard all the way to the line.
Checkered flag is out. It's here. Brendan Gaughan has won an NASCAR Nationwide Series race.
That it was no way Brendan Gaughan would even finish, much less win. That was a great win.
It was an unbelievable job of driving.
98 times he's gone to the green flag in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, Doc. This is the first time he's going to take home the trophy.
Those aren't raindrops. Those are tears in Shane Wilson's eyes. You did it, my friend. You got him to victory lane. What does this mean to you?
Oh, it's been a lot of years since we've been to victory lane, so we'll enjoy it. And just got to thank all these guys. A lot of these guys, first time they won a nationwide race. And it's just a good day. That's all I got to say.
Overcome with emotion. You can see how much this means to him and this whole team. And I can't wait to talk to Brendan Gaughan at victory lane.
It's going to be fun, Doc.
Shane alluding to the fact that he and Brendan, winners before in NASCAR's Camping World Truck Series, 8 times together as driver and crew chief. But the first here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And again, Road America. What a race. Glad you saw that one, huh?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no disappointment there whatsoever. A little bit of everything. I can't remember a race that had this much. I mean, and then, you know, what a great job that Brendan Gaughan did in winning that race. But how about Alex Tagliani?
It's crazy.
In 2 laps, he almost won this race.
I mean, from way back. Kevin O'Connell, too.
Oh,
Such a good job.
That's amazing.
3rd place.
J.J. Yeley finishing 5th. Jeremy Clemens, 6th place finish.
But the day's about that, man.
Yep.
Long time trying. Richard Childress Racing getting Brendan Gaughan to victory lane today here at Road America. We saw off the course 3 different times in this race. Off schedule, thought it had thrown his race into chaos by having to come in and clean off the grill and out of pit stop sequence. And that pit stop sequence ended up falling in his favor when the other guys that he was trying to catch for the lead both had to either run out of fuel or stop for fuel.
I mean, everything happened to him, too. I mean, he got run into in the right front wheel. You think that it's done so much damage that it's not going to be competitive. I think it actually helped him.
And traded the lead twice. Yeah, after the restart with Chase Elliott before he got away and led to the white flag and then had to hang on that last lap.
Yeah, that might have been the most impressive thing that he did all day was to rebound from losing the lead down in the first corner after that restart, was to get himself righted and run Chase Elliott back down and make that move.
Yeah, these two, I think, had a little bit of disagreement on the last lap. That's all good now.
One, I'm racing for a championship. And one, I've got nothing to do but try and win this race. Chase Elliott will wind up with a good day here at Road America. considering the way the weekend started, Dave.
As you said, Alan, topsy-turvy, up and down. But, Chase, so what message did you have for Alex Tagliani back there?
Well, he just didn't show us a lot of respect. I didn't feel like, I understand those guys are racing for an owner's championship, too. I hate to see those road race guys come in and just root you off the track like that down there in Canada Corner, whatever number that is. But, it's hard to be disappointed with that. As bad as our day was going and as bad as our weekend had gone, this is completely my fault. I feel like we had a top 5 car. Once I finally figured out the racetrack, it took me a little while, but thanks to Napa Auto Parts, everything they do, guys for working hard yesterday to get this thing fixed, Nationwide Insurance and the fans, we'll move on. I can't do anything about it now.
You had an off when it was wet. Describe what it was like driving in the rain here today.
Yeah, it was wow. Wow is about all I have to say. There was times where I couldn't see anything, and when it was still raining and the sun came back out, I don't think anybody could see. I was pretty much driving off the light off the car ahead of me. It was bad. I'm soaked. It was a different day, but it was a lot of fun. I hope the fans enjoyed it. That's something we don't get to do very often. So lots of gamesmanship when that thing turned back to being dry, and whether or not we need to pit and put dry or slicks back on. But congrats to Brendan, did an awesome job, and we'll try again next week.
Thanks, Chase. Alan?
Well, what a day for Brendan Gaughan, and what a victory lane this will be. Let's go down there now and hear from the race winner.
He buried his face in his hands in the car. You could see the tears down his cheek. And in 98 tries in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, now Brendan Gaughan. My friend, you did it. You did it. You're a winner. What does this moment mean to you?
Life has not been easy right now for the Gaughan family, and thank you to Shane Wilson and Richard Childress. I tried to give this race away 3 times today, and I'm fully embarrassed. I was not focused enough. But, man, Richard gives you great Chevrolet stuff, and South Point Casino, join APS.com, Dave Marmarek, who, my own personal little sponsor, takes such good care of me, UNOH. I love my colleges. I got a college on the race car. It's such a great feeling after 10 years, Doc. I'm so happy. I don't know how to tell you.
Back in March, you lost John Jackie Gaughan, and you said this was a dedication. This was what you wanted to do, was get one for him. Your thoughts?
We finally finished moving out of his apartment in the El Cortez yesterday, and I couldn't be there because, of course, we're here. Love my grandfather, love my family. Thank you to my wife and my kids. They're not here for my first win in 10 years. Thank you, Richard Childress. All the guys at the shop, all these guys right here, great pit stops. They didn't give up on a jack-off driver that made 3 mistakes today and should have cost himself the race. Thank you, Shane Wilson. It's been 10 years, and I'm back in victory lane with my old guru, Shane.
What are you thinking? 1 lap to go, and Chase Elliott goes by you. You made a classic move in Canada Corner to get by him. How did you set that up?
Chase was, he doesn't have a lot of experience in the rain. And I wrecked a Corvette a couple years ago at Ron Fellows Driving School with Chase Elliott. They were kind of embarrassing, and I knew the rain line. I've been around here in the rain 20 years ago, so I was just hoping there was just enough water left for these Goodyear tires to hook up, and it did.
So happy for you, my friend. Enjoy the moment.
Thank you, Doc. I appreciate it so much.
Brendan Gaughan, in 98 tries, for the first time, he is a winner in NASCAR's Nationwide Series, and Alan Bestwick, 3rd consecutive year. A first-time winner goes to victory lane here at Road America.
Doc, the emotion in the voice says it all. What a day. What a win. Great guy. And so happy to see him score the victory.
You cannot help but love Brendan Gaughan. It's a great day for him. We're happy.
Yeah, that'd be a popular one in the garage area. A lot of people, it's not like he bullied his way there. He did a terrific job here all day long in driving this car to victory.
Las Vegas native, family with deep roots there. He went to Georgetown University, got some connections in D.C. as well. And now here in Wisconsin, Brendan Gaughan is in victory lane in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Next Friday night, it's on to Kentucky, followed by Daytona, New Hampshire, Chicago, and on into the summer stretch. Join us at the track. NASCAR.com/tickets is how you find out more. Well, we came on the air saying there was going to be chaos, controversy, and probably some hurt feelings. Had all of that and some awfully good feelings as well, as Las Vegas's Brendan Gaughan is in victory lane at Road America. Thanks for joining us today. What a great race it was, from the rain to the sunshine to the spectacular finish. We'll see you next Friday in Kentucky.